21st, 2026 meeting of the Oshkosh Common Council. City Clerk, if you could please take the roll.
Spanbauer.
Here.
Blum.
Here.
Bulow.
Here.
Stevenson.
Here.
Nichols is excused. Amos.
Here.
Mugrauer.
Here. Leading us in the invocation this evening will be Councilmember Spanbauer.
We come together this evening to discuss the issues that confront our city. May we always seek the wisdom to do things that reflect our concern for the people whom we represent.
And joining us this evening, we have students from Emmeline Cook and Oak Lawn Elementary to help lead us in the pledge. Students, if you wouldn't mind meeting me right down in front, we'll do that. Everybody can stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, we have students from Oak Lawn and Emmeline Cook. If when I give you the mic, if you wouldn't mind telling us your first name and what school you're from, maybe what grade, and if you got a favorite subject or a favorite teacher.
My name's Sasha, and I'm from Emmeline Cook, and my favorite subject in school is math.
My name is Sham, and my favorite subject is gym.
My name is Miles, and I'm from 5th grade, Oak Lawn Elementary, and my favorite subject is also gym.
We are going to delay the introduction of staff to the next meeting. Is my memory correct? Excellent. Here we go. Folks, there is a couple seats up front, probably 4 or 5. If somebody wants to sit down, feel free to come on up and take them. We issued a couple of proclamations. We're going to do 2 tonight, and I issued 1 ahead of time. First one that we are issuing is for National Library Week, which is this week, and Library Director Achete is here with us tonight to accept that. So whereas the Oshkosh Public Library plays a vital role in connecting people to information, resources, and opportunities that support lifelong learning, creativity, and personal growth. And whereas public libraries are free and welcoming spaces that advance equity, inspire innovation, and strengthen communities by providing access to knowledge, expertise, and services for all residents. And whereas the Oshkosh Public Library is a place where all are welcome, where individuals can learn, create, and connect, and where a shared sense of belonging and understanding is cultivated. And whereas the Oshkosh Public Library evolves to meet the changing needs of the community by supporting job seekers, makers, students, and lifelong learners of all ages. And whereas through partnerships and community-informed programming, the Oshkosh Public Library expands access to services and resources that enrich civic life and enhance quality of life in Oshkosh. And whereas the library belongs to everyone in Oshkosh, and serves as a trusted public institution that adds lasting value to the lives of its residents. It's my honor then, as mayor of the city of Oshkosh, to hereby proclaim this week, April 19th through the 25th of 2026, as National Library Week in the city of Oshkosh, and encourage all residents to visit the Oshkosh Public Library, explore its many resources and programs, and celebrate the essential role it plays in strengthening our community. Director? And then we have one for Barb Nelson is here tonight to accept this. This is the Williams Syndrome Month proclamation. We've done this a couple times, I remember. Whereas Williams syndrome is a rare genetic condition that is characterized by medical and cognitive issues, including cardiovascular disease, development delays, and mild to moderate intellectual disability, and occurs when a person is missing more than 25 genes from a specific area of chromosome 7. And whereas most cases of Williams syndrome are not inherited, instead infecting people sporadically, regardless of family history. And whereas this condition affects as many as 30,000 individuals in the United States. And whereas the Williams Syndrome Association is a nonprofit organization founded in 1982 and serves as the most comprehensive resource for people and families living with Williams syndrome, as well as doctors, researchers, and educators. And whereas to generate awareness about Williams syndrome and raise funding for critical WSA programs and initiatives, the WSA has organized May as Williams Syndrome Awareness Month, which includes awareness efforts across all across the United States. And whereas the City of Oshkosh recognizes the family and friends of those with Williams syndrome and commends their compassionate work to educate people across our state and nation about this rare disorder. Now, therefore, I, Matt Mugar, Mayor of the City of Oshkosh, do hereby proclaim May 2026 as Williams Syndrome Awareness Month here in the City of Oshkosh, and encourage all residents to join in recognizing all for their service and leadership in this community. Barb?
Brinkley is our granddaughter who has Williams syndrome, and this is the third year that the City of Oshkosh has proclaimed Williams syndrome May as Williams syndrome month, and they also are generous in turning the city lights along, or bridge lights along the river walk in the colors of Williams. So if you're out and about, check out those lights. They are beautifully in green, blue, and red, in awareness for our sweet little Brinkley, and her grandpa and I own Brinkley's Boutique in downtown Oshkosh. So, see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we also issued one, multiple actually this week for Arbor Day. Arbor Day is tomorrow, is it tomorrow? Yeah, I think it's tomorrow.
Friday.
Friday, excuse me. Sustainability guy down there, Friday, the 24th. I do know that Discover Oshkosh and Amy and her crew over there would like me to quickly plug that get out into the community, take a moment, grab a trash bag, go pick up some trash around this community, snap a photo, tag Discover Oshkosh, show all the good that's happening in this community. We hear a lot on social media about all the negatives, and Discover Oshkosh would like to post a little positive about Oshkosh, and so feel free to tag Discover Oshkosh on your social pages and get out and try to help clean up this community, even just one little piece at a time, and that'd be greatly appreciated. The next thing we have, official statement of votes cast for the April 7th, 2026 election. City of Oshkosh Board of Canvass filing of the official statement of votes cast for April 7th, 2026 election for Oshkosh Common Council, declaring Jacob Amos, Alec Lefebvre, and Paul Esslinger as elected. I'll take a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that? I see none. If you take the roll on number one.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Flom.
Aye.
Yulo.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Mugrower.
Aye.
6-0.
Mr. Flom, your last meeting with us, we want to say thank you for your service to this community. We are without a doubt better off for you having served it. The same applies to Mr. Nichols. On behalf of the City of Oshkosh, it's my honor to present you with your appreciation award, your plaque for your service, and just say thank you for a very well job done. The floor is yours if you want to,
Yeah, absolutely.
for one last time, Mr. Flom.
This is a fantastic community to live in. This is a fantastic community to work in. This is a fantastic community to have a family in. This is a fantastic community to be a part of, and it's a place that I am very, very proud to call home. This has been a wonderful council to serve with. I will miss serving with each and every one of you. I will miss serving the constituents of Oshkosh. This is a very resilient community. This is a very strong community. This is a very civically engaged community. So thank you for placing your trust in me to serve on the council for 2 years. It has been an honor. It has been a privilege. And best of luck to the new council, and thank you once again.
Thank you. With that, I will take a motion to adjourn sine die.
So moved. Second.
If you'll take the roll on the motion to adjourn sine die.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Flum.
Aye.
Bulow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Mugrower.
Aye.
6-0.
That will conclude the 25 to 26 Oshkosh Common Council. We'll take a moment to thank Mr. Flom. We'll welcome up our newest council members, and then we'll get the organizational part of the next meeting started. We'll take a little break.
The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule.
Paul, Alec,
And raise your right hand. Do you, being elected to the Common Council for the City of Oshkosh, but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof, affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and the ordinances of the City of Oshkosh, and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of your ability? If so, say I do.
I do. I do.
congratulations.
This is probably one of the things.
When you're ready, I'll call this meeting to order, and if you could take the roll call of the new council.
Spanbauer.
Aye. Here, sorry.
LeFaber.
Here.
Bulow.
Here.
Stevenson.
Here.
Esslinger.
Here.
Amos.
Here.
Mugrower.
Here. Election of deputy mayor. First thing up. So the process will be, we will call for nominations for deputy mayor. Second's not required. I will call for it 3 times. Once I've called for it 3 times, we'll then do a motion to close the nominations, and we will vote to close the nominations. At that point, we can have any discussion that we'd like, the nominees, and then we will have an election of the deputy mayor from there. With that, I'll consider the nominations for deputy mayor open. First time called. Nominations are open.
Do I have to press my button?
You do not. You go right ahead.
I'd like to nominate Councilmember Bulow.
Okay.
I like to nominate Councilmember Deputy Mayor Stevenson.
Nominations for deputy mayor second time. Third and final time, I'll call for nominations for deputy mayor. I'll take a motion to close nominations.
So moved.
And second on that.
Second.
You can take the roll on to close nominations.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
LeFaber.
Aye.
Bulow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
Esslinger.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Mugrower.
Aye.
7-0.
Discussion. If anybody wants to discuss either the candidates or the candidates themselves would like the floor is yours now. Otherwise, we will move into voting. Go right ahead. Floor is yours.
You got 2 good candidates up here. However anyone wants to vote, I no hard feelings one way or the other. We run a good meeting up here. I like to keep cordial relationships with everybody, so that's how our council functions. I'm not good with words today. Thank you.
Well said.
Okay. All right, what will happen next, we'll have the election of deputy mayor. The clerk will call each council member's name. When your name is called, you will state either Buelow or Stevenson, and then she will declare the deputy mayor from there. City clerk, when you're ready, if you'll go down the list.
Spanbauer.
Buelow.
LeFeber.
Stevenson.
Buelow.
Buelow.
Stevenson.
Stevenson.
Esslinger.
Buelow.
Amos.
Buelow.
Ograuer.
Buelow.
Carl Buelow has been appointed deputy mayor.
Congratulations. We just have two more procedural matters. Council seating assignments. You know what? I didn't pull up. Give me a second here.
I got you if you need it.
Perfect. Deputy Mayor, your choice where you sit.
Good enough?
Okay, we'll move some things around in a second. Next up, Mr. Stevenson, your choice of seats.
Good.
He looks good there. Mr. Spanbauer, where would you like to move to?
I'm going to hang out here.
Sounds good. Mr. Amos?
Alec, I apologize, but I think your name have to be Jacob for that seat, so.
I get a Jacob upgrade!
It'll
I
be
can only say it because he's right.
It'll be less confusing for me this way.
Mr. LeFeber, next. Which seat would you prefer?
I'll take your seat.
Oh, come on.
Now, Paul, you started all getting no. It's resisting. When you get recalled by the placard.
Okay. Final procedural matter, discussion and approval of council rules. Mr. Buelow, yeah, you go ahead. I'm going to need a motion and a second to accept the council rules at some point, though.
Should I
Yeah, why don't you motion and accept?
move to accept?
Second.
Perfect. Now it's on the floor, Mr. Buelow, or Deputy Mayor Buelow.
It's going to take you a while. It did before.
It will.
City Manager Grill, I talked to you a little bit about this. One of the things that came up, and it was actually my child that brought it to my attention, my 15-year-old, that we have attendance requirements for our boards and commissions, but we don't have anything in for council expectations or requirements. What that means is right now, and I was actually joking with Alec earlier, is a person could get elected, never show up to a board or commission, never show up to a meeting, and still collect $5,000 a year, and there's no mechanism to do anything about it, because council can't punish other council members. It could be there's only two options that I could find, which is a censure or some way of withholding pay. And there's nothing right now that we have. So I would just like you to take a look and see what other communities do, see if you could come up with a good recommendation to us. Because it is something that could potentially have with money, it couldn't adopt for this council or the next one. It'd have to be like 2028, I think, is the next time it could take effect. But just to have something in thank you, have something in writing.
Okay. I have one minor update. I just want to make sure everybody else has a chance to discuss anything they want to discuss, and please keep in mind, council, we approve and accept these tonight, that this is going to be our governing document moving forward for us, but they were always up for adjustments or changes in the future. It doesn't have to wait till next April again for another change. So if there's nothing that you want changed tonight, that's completely fine. But is there anybody else that wants? I don't see anybody. So I have just one minor update to 1A of the council rules, and it pertains to just the calendar. It's more of a, just an updating. We recently, as a body, accepted a council calendar, and the way that our rules state how we hold meetings and when we hold them, it just differs. So what I'd like to do is motion to amend 1A to read as follows. Council shall hold regular meetings as specified in Section 2-10 of the City of Oshkosh Municipal Code.
I will second that.
And that's just to bring it in conformance with, we now have a calendar. There are some months that we don't meet twice, and we don't meet on the second and fourth Tuesday. So that just cleans that up. If there's no other comments, City Clerk, if you'll take the roll on the motion to amend.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Bulow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
LaFever.
Aye.
Esslinger.
Aye.
Mugrauer.
Aye.
7-0.
Any other approvals or any other amendments or discussions? If not,
Not tonight.
all right. If not, City Clerk, if you'll take the roll on council rules as amended.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Bulow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
LaFever.
Aye.
Esslinger.
Aye.
Mugrauer.
Aye.
7-0.
With that, we're going to move into our regular business meeting. We have a presentation from Community Development Department. Welcome.
Well, hey, everybody.
I'm going to
Thanks
ask
for coming for my presentation. I'm very excited.
Sarah, I'm going to ask you, try to bring the microphone a little closer.
Are you saying I'm too quiet today?
Nope. I'm saying we've got fans running in the room and there's a whole bunch of people in back.
fair.
And so even for council members, if you could try to eat the mic tonight to make sure those people in the back can hear you well, that would be appreciated by those sitting in the back.
Can you hear me now? Better?
There we go.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
All right, absolutely. So, community development. What does that mean? A lot of stuff. And I'm going to do this in 5 to 7 minutes as directed. So it's going to be short and sweet and quick to the point. But keep in mind, we are going to have more of an orientation on May 12th, I believe, tentatively. So if you have any questions that you think might take too long, save them, get them to me, and we'll address them later. Okay? What is community development? I changed it to who is community development. A lot of people just assume community development is economic development. That's just one of our 4 divisions that we have. My name is Sarah Rutkowski. I'm the Community Development Director. Kim Gierak, standing right behind me, thanks cameras, is our Deputy Director. And then I have 4 divisions. I have a Planning Division that's led by Brian Suseric. I have Jerry Fabish, who is our Chief Building Official. He leads our Inspections Division. We have Kathy, who was just recently hired as our Economic Development Manager. And then Dean Peters is our City Assessor that leads our Assessors Division. So we actually have 4 different divisions. I did also add local community partners on the bottom because we work so closely with a lot of community groups here, just making sure that things try to run as smoothly as we can within the community. I kept this page in because this shows the different boards, committees, and commissions that our staff liaison with the city here. These, keep in mind, these are just the official city boards, committees, and commissions. This does not include any internal ones, such as our Development Leadership Council. That was a matrix recommendation that we've started up in January that helps making sure that our economic development projects are prioritized in the community. It's a recent change that we've made, but it's been going very well. I'm very excited about it. But these are the official ones, and some of you I interact with on a regular basis because you're my council liaisons on those boards. So this was for when I was presenting last month. The first week in April was Community Development Week, so it did already occur. But I did want to emphasize that this year, we don't typically bring it up, but this year is kind of a pilot program year for us in community development. We've made a lot of changes because of the matrix recommendations that are coming through. And then also the city itself is going through restructuring and figuring things out, making things more efficient. And so we're building those building blocks this year. I want to talk about each of the divisions a little bit specifically because we have some new counselors and a lot more people in the audience that are traditionally here for a council meeting. I wanted to emphasize a little bit about each division and then talk about what we're doing in 2026. So in our planning division, we have 6 staff members right now. That includes a planning supervisor, a zoning administrator, and 4 planners on staff. We do provide zoning and land use technical assistance. We provide site plan reviews. We help administer plans, such as our Sawdust District plan. But this year, we are planning on some pretty major things, such as the zoning code update. Now, we're not just looking to refresh the code, we are in the process of rewriting the code. We want to make it more readable, more understandable for members of the public so that they don't need us to interpret it. We want you to be able to look at that code and know exactly what you need to do as a resident. So that's going to take time, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities for public involvement. So I'm just going to gently encourage members of the public that if you see it out there, don't be afraid to respond and give us your input. That's what we want to know about. We are also in the process of updating our sustainability plan. We want to focus on getting that going as well. And then, of course, our planning division closely associates with our neighborhood associations. We are working on building a much stronger connection to those groups within our community. I personally feel that they're a very underutilized asset that we have in our community. So you're going to be hearing a little bit more about neighborhood associations from me as the year progresses. That's my plan for planning in 2026. Inspections division. We have our chief building official, 3 commercial inspectors, 3 residential inspectors, and 1 inspector technician. They do our building plan review in-house. We do also contract out for commercial plan review. They perform inspections on site, and they also administer our weights and measures program. For 2026, we're in the process of updating our fee schedule, and one of that is reviewing our list of the required permits that we have in the community, because we want to make sure that the permits that we are requiring make sense for when we're having inspectors go out there. That was one of our recommendations from Matrix. It's going to take a little bit of time. We'll have a presentation later in the year with what our findings are. But we're also comparing ourselves to municipalities in the area and then other municipalities our size as to what permits do they have, how are they charging their permit fees, what should we be doing at Oshkosh. But that'll be another presentation later. I do want to gently remind you that and members of the public, we don't set the building code. That is something that's set by the state. We just typically enforce it. And I know that we had asked for a resolution on the agenda tonight for the UDC code to get updated. I did get information back from the state that DSPS is working on a rule right now to require an update every 3 years. So we're excited about that. That will have an opportunity for public comment as well. So we strongly encourage everybody to take advantage of that, because I know I will be, to definitely say, yes, please do this. Any questions so far? I'm gonna keep going. Okay, assessors division. So I just want to start by saying assessors do not set the taxes. That is set, our levy is set by council, and then finance helps set out the tax bills. We just set assessed value in the assessors division. We have a city assessor, we have 3 property appraisers, and 1 commercial assessor, and they also handle our real property listing. For 2026, we have already implemented a new software. Our previous software was about 20 years old, and we are not having a revaluation this year. It is just a maintenance year. So we have Open Book and Board of Review. Open Book is going to be starting this Thursday, and it goes for about 4 days. So if you have not received a notice that your assessed value is going up this year, it's staying the same from the previous year. If anybody has any questions about that, feel free to catch me afterwards. Economic development. We have an economic development manager, 2 economic development specialists, 1 grants coordinator, and 1 economic development technician. We try to manage the majority of the economic development projects that are in our community, help make sure that they're moving along as they should with plans, submittals, those sorts of things. There's always hiccups in the city process. We have a lot of departments here. We try to provide as much guidance as we can to make sure that they keep on track. 2026 has a lot going on for economic development. We're talking about a community benefit scorecard. We get a lot of requests for financial assistance in the economic development department, and we want to make sure that any assistance that we're providing to the community is meeting the niche that we see, the needs that we see. Before, we weren't quite sure how it was being approved. Now we're setting sidelines that we're hearing from the community. We want it to be focused in the downtown. We want more of an emphasis on our small businesses, promoting those sorts of spaces within our community. So that's what we're trying to implement in our community benefit scorecard. Focus on housing, childcare. So if those projects are meeting those guidelines, they're more likely to receive assistance from the city. We are also making some housing program changes. It's been a while since those programs have been looked at. We're finding that there are some gaps where some people may make just a little too much money to qualify for our programs, but still can't get traditional lending. We're also finding that kind of the minimum of some of our programs is almost too high for those that are LMI. So we're trying to figure out what do we want our programs to look like moving forward. So one, we're reaching more residents, and two, we're improving the housing stock within our community. So that's a focus that we're working on this year. We're also working on some community development block grant support that's similar to our housing programs. And we have a lot of TIDs currently in our community. Some of them are probably open longer than they need to be, so you're going to see housing extensions come through and then us closing those TIDs rapidly within the next 2 to 3 years. That being said, I already have plans for creating a couple new TIDs, so just hold tight. And then, of course, we have a lot of infill lot programs. I'm trying to make sure that we have a better standard for how we're promoting those infill lots and what we're putting on those infill lots, that it's meeting a need within our community in some way. So all of this is kind of blending together into my idea that I know I've brought up before at council meetings of smart growth. Where are we taking Oshkosh? We should be doing this in a better, more efficient way. Have some sort of plan and guidance. So those are the divisions, but keep in mind community development isn't just those divisions. We also assist and oversee other city projects and large development projects as well. The smart growth I kind of already touched on. One of the other things that I'm trying to do is work on submittal deadlines. I'm sure you guys have seen that we've just recently released a council submittal deadline. So if we have developers or other projects that want to get on the council agenda, they have to reach out to us within a certain time frame. So it's not this massive crunch to try and get everything ready ahead of time. Staff needs time to review, and we're trying to set our staff up for success to be able to do that. We're implementing additional matrix recommendations. There were 73 matrix recommendations. We have about 6 to 8 of them that I feel like we have accomplished and I can cross off the list. There's probably 30 to 35 of them that are in motion right now that we're in the process of implementing, and then more will occur after we open or implement OpenGov, our software. We need the software to be built so our processes are set in place, and then we can move forward with additional steps. So. And then code enforcement updates. We've been talking about that a little bit on the periphery. We had been sending out a lot of fees. Now we're much more on an educational basis. And I actually had a staff member come to me last week and mention that it's amazing since we've transitioned to more of an educational notice instead of just an inspection fee notice, how many more people meet compliance and how many more people will call him and not be angry on the phone. So I'm very excited to hear that what we've been trying to do is reaching people in the community. That's what we want. We want people to be aware of, first, let's make sure they understand what the code is, because I will always admit our code is not the easiest to read and understand, and then we'll help them get to compliance in what ways we can. So, on my last page, what does success look like for community development? The big picture for community development for me, and I'd argue for the city as well, is just providing clear communication and collaboration. We've been working very hard on making sure anything that we're sending out is easily understood by members of the community and our community sponsors, our community partners. And please, please, please just remember, we're people, we're a resource. We want to help. Please reach out to us. I know every single person in that department, and I'm telling you, they're so passionate about the city of Oshkosh and helping residents. We're not a big bad guy. We definitely want to see growth and help in the community, so please don't be afraid to reach out to us. And that's all I have. Any questions? Really? Nothing?
Doesn't look like it
All
right
right.
now, at least.
You weren't going to play the video?
Well, I don't think it's going to work. I did want to leave on a song. Nope, it's an ad. Hold on, hold tight, hold tight, hold tight.
So are you saying we're getting a TJ Maxx?
Just wait for it.
Non-sponsored.
Okay, I'll skip a little. Oh, it's not in the speakers. It's happy. It's happy.
Everybody's home along.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
And I'll see you more next month.
All right, first up, we have public statements to council. I only have one person registered to speak on citizen statements. That's Ms. Deb Martin. Deb, if you wouldn't mind coming on up. Good evening, welcome.
Hi, Deb Martin on Wildwood in Oshkosh. I'm here about our poll workers. Do all of you know how much a poll worker in Oshkosh earns? $9 an hour. $9. And think about that. If they work a full day, it's 14 hours and there's no overtime. I'm just urging the council, as you look at the next budget, that there needs to be an increase in pay. What happens is, I've been doing it for a couple years. I'm retired. I don't have to get a special amount of money. But if you want a wider variety of people to do this kind of work, it would be good to give them a decent pay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now I gotta be not so Mr. Nice Guy. So for the rest of the night, that's the last time we're gonna have audience participation, clapping, cheering, or on the negative side. If I allow you to do the happy side of that, I also gotta allow folks to do the negative side of that, and that's not gonna happen here. So I hope you can understand. We're here to listen to the speakers, and then we'll move on to each individual from there. So thank you. I have no one else registered to speak on anything citizen statements-wise, so we'll move to consent agenda. I'll take a motion and a second for consent.
So moved.
Second.
I do have myself, I have number 12, resolution 26-193 that I need to pull. Just need to make an amendment to that.
I registered to address the council.
For citizen statements?
Yes.
Okay, I missed that. Juan Garcia?
Yes.
I apologize. We'll take a step back. You go right ahead right now. We'll take a step back, and who motioned to approve consent?
I seconded, so I'll withdraw my second.
And I'll withdraw the motion.
Okay, we'll just quick withdraw the motion and the second on consent. Sorry. I'm pretty sure that they're going to motion and second the same in a second.
Sounds good.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes, thank
the
you.
floor is yours. Keep 5 minutes and nothing on the agenda.
Yes, thank you. Again, I'm once again here to talk about, really to urge the council to either work towards the development of something like what I'm going to talk about, or to educate yourselves a little bit more and maybe take a more proactive stance to address the things that I'm going to discuss, which is I'm here to talk about, I'm here to urge the council to limit or work towards limiting the development of large-scale data centers in our community. Across Wisconsin, residents have been pushing back against these massive industrial facilities that consume as much electricity as entire cities and millions of gallons of water daily. Despite their scale, these centers create few permanent jobs, and local communities often subsidize these billion-dollar corporations through tax breaks and incentives, receiving little in return. The risks to our infrastructure and environment are severe. There are 4 things that I can name. The first one, energy strain. Just 2 of the proposed centers in 2025 requested more power than all of the Wisconsin households combined. If these projects fail, ratepayers are left paying for stranded assets, expensive, unneeded infrastructure. Second one, resource depletion. A single center can use 5 million gallons of fresh water daily. Cities often lure developers with discounted water rates, shifting the financial burden to the public. Public health and environment, that's number 3. Backup diesel generators, which are often used and part of this infrastructure, emit harmful pollutants, while noise, light, and other forms of pollution and the loss of farmland disrupt the ecosystems and the communities where they settled. The last one, but just as important, is lack of transparency. Developers use non-disclosure agreements to hide long-term impacts from officials and from the public. Currently, Wisconsin lacks a modern regulatory framework for these facilities, making local government the final line of defense. More specifically, I urge the City Council to establish a binding resolution limiting the city's ability to pursue and/or negotiate the development of any large-scale data centers in the city for 1 year, giving people, the community, yourselves, ourselves, the opportunity to study, learn, and develop more comprehensive language for what this means and how this can affect us. We must act now to avoid locking our community into higher costs and environmental harm. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I was serious when I said there was no clapping. The next outburst, whether it's positive or negative, will be the last time, and you'll be escorted out of the room. It's just that. It's just got to be like that. So I appreciate your willingness to just sit there and stay quiet for the next about 2 hours while people speak to us on a variety of different topics. No one else registered to speak on citizen statements, so I'll move for a motion and a second on consent. Mr. Stevenson?
So moved.
Second.
There we go. I still need to remove poll 26-193. Council members, any other? I'm a little off tonight. Mr. Esslinger.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a question from our legal staff. On Resolution 26-168, I read over the staff report. I went online to read more, and I'm a little unclear of what this is. I know this is a chance to gain some money, I believe, from some lawsuit. And I'm going to ask the question that no lawyer likes to hear. How much can we get? And what is this pertaining to?
So what's in front of you is a settlement agreement. It's basically like a class action for opioid settlement with 6 new defendants. The reason you haven't seen, as a council, a lot of this is because to date, most opioid settlements have happened at the state level. This one is unique in that it requires opt-in at the local level. So that's what we're looking for, is just authorization today to opt in. These were not defendants that the city was planning to file separate litigation against. So in many respects, this just has a lot of upside for us. To answer your specific question of how much, we don't know. Nobody knows at this point. It's going to depend on how many people opt in. The overall settlement was for $97 million with these defendants. The city should probably expect a very small fraction of that.
Okay, so help me understand, though, who determined what the damages were, and who caused the damages, and were we a plaintiff, or in the lawsuit? How did that work out?
No, we're not an active party in litigation with any of these defendants. We received a mailing asking if we would like to opt into this settlement.
And it's regarding opioids. What does that mean? I mean, what?
These 6 defendants.
Pharmaceutical companies?
Correct.
Yeah. And so what did they do? Or what didn't they do? Or what did they do illegal?
I don't think any of them are admitting to anything illegal. This is a settlement agreement.
Okay.
But they were generally involved in opioid, they're pharmaceutical companies, as you said.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Council members, any other questions on anything consent related? If not, City Clerk, if you'll take the roll on consent minus 26-193.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Bealow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
LaFever.
Aye.
Esslinger.
Aye.
Mugwauer.
Aye.
7-0.
Resolution 26-193, this is resolution to appoint council members as liaisons to various boards, committees, and commissions. If I could take a motion in a second,
So
please.
moved.
Second.
I just need to amend to appoint Councilmember Alec LaFever as the council liaison to the DEI committee. So I'm motioning to amend.
Second.
Appreciate Councilmember stepping up and taking that current vacancy.
That's line number 12.
And when you're ready, if you'll take the roll on 26-193, the amendment to 193.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Bealow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
LaFever.
Aye.
Esslinger.
Aye.
Mugwauer.
Aye.
Carried 7-0.
And then If there's no other comments on that, if you'll take the roll on 26-193 as amended.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Bulow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
LaFever.
Aye.
Esslinger.
Aye.
Mugwauer.
Aye.
Carried 7-0.
We have just a couple new ordinances. Ordinance 26-21, approve Melithin annexation to the city from the town of Oshkosh, located at 2732 Jackson Street. Plan Commission recommends approval.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the annexation? I see none. When you're ready, if you'll take the roll on 26-21.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Bulow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
LaFever.
Aye.
Esslinger.
Aye.
Mugwauer.
Aye.
Carried 7-0.
Ordinance 26-22 amends section 27A-11 of the municipal code to extend the no parking restriction on the north side of Lincoln Avenue, beginning at Jackson Street from 45 feet east to 160 feet east. Transportation Committee recommends approval.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this? I see none. Clerk, when you're ready, 26-22, please.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Bulow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
LaFever.
Aye.
Esslinger.
Aye.
Mugwauer.
Aye.
Carried 7-0.
Last new ordinance, this is ordinance 26-23, amends section 27A-11 of the municipal code to change the angle parking restriction on Michigan Street, east side, from West 6th Avenue to north a distance of 124 feet. Transportation Committee recommends approval.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this? I see none. When you're ready, please take the roll.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Bulow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
LaFever.
Aye.
Esslinger.
Aye.
Mugwauer.
Aye.
Carried 7-0.
Next up, we have Resolution 26-164. This was laid over from the previous meeting. Approved 2-year renewal of Flock Group Inc. service agreement for the license plate reader technology. We have a number of folks registered to speak. At current count, I have 28 folks registered to speak. Fair number of these are the similar individuals that spoke last time. You're all entitled to 5 minutes. I'd ask that you not be repetitive. If you don't need the full 5 minutes, I think the audience would probably prefer if you kept it a little bit shorter, but that is your right, and that's what we provide you. But you're going to be cut off at 5 minutes given the sheer number of folks we have, so you have to keep it under that, please. With that, we'll do public statements, and then we'll move it to council for discussion and action following that. You'll be called in the order of which you registered, which same as always. And then what I'll do is I'll call the first person up. I'll have the person on deck. If that person could kindly make their way to kind of standing in the on-deck circle, it would help keep things moving along a little bit. Tanner Mann will be up first, followed by Reverend Ellen Rasmussen. If we could come over to this one, please. Thank you. Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome to the council, new members. Nice to see you here. I'd like to begin my statements by saying if this council values fact-based policy, common sense regulation, transparency, and safe policing, I urge you to vote no tonight on this proposed Flock contract. We must all remember, Flock is a tech startup. They're less than 10 years old. This AI surveillance technology they're selling is so new that governments have not yet had time to regulate it. You, as Oshkosh city leaders, must govern proactively. We cannot sign controversial contracts like this one and then try to justify and learn about them after the fact. Please do not continue in this reactive approach. Do not look away or excuse the inconvenient and worrying facts about the system. Instead, I'm asking the city to form a commission to craft acceptable surveillance tech regulations and only then engage in contract negotiations with Flock and other vendors based upon our agreed requirements. This commission that I'm talking about should consist of a cybersecurity consultant hired by the city, leading community voices, local cybersecurity experts, council members, OPD, and the city attorney. This process should be transparent and involve the public at every step. As shared at the community-led flock discussion last week, there are specific and achievable technical changes that flock could make to keep their product useful for catching criminals while making zero compromises on resident safety and privacy. There are software engineers and cybersecurity experts in this room and around the community who are ready and willing to help craft these standards. We cannot let these powerful tech companies walk all over us. This contract is paid for with our tax dollars. We need rigorous regulations and transparent contract negotiations to protect our residents. Voting yes, in my opinion, would be a reckless use of taxpayer funds and will undermine public trust in the Oshkosh Police Department and this council. This damage and resentment will last for many years. Please work with your constituents, not against us. We are willing to sit down and help the city regulate this technology in good faith. We can solve this problem together using facts, expert guidance, transparency, and patience. Vote no tonight so that we can collaborate on this project together because our community deserves better tech. Thank you.
Thank you. Reverend Rasmussen? Juan Garcia is up next, followed by Rachel Disterhalf. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Juan again. Thank you for having me. Even though I spoke last time about this same issue, I want to say that we have new members, we have a new city council, and therefore we have to address this as if, people have not heard us before. And I'm here to urge everybody to reject the proposed renewal of the city contract with Flock Safety, the automated license plate readers, and to further reject any new contracts using similar technologies. While these are marketed for public safety, the rapid growth of this surveillance network presents significant risks to privacy, civil liberties, and the overall health of our community. I am here specifically to express my thoughts about this harmful technology, not necessarily to ask questions or for clarification. And I say this because in a previous meeting, council members may have walked away thinking that the community does not know enough about Flock. And I am here to say this is not true. Many of us understand exactly how this technology works, and it is exactly why we have decided to come forward and do everything we can to stop its expansion into our city. There are no amounts of guardrails, quote unquote, that can be placed to patch up a flawed system. However, I understand that not everyone thinks like me, and I want to emphasize that this is not a partisan issue. In fact, one of the most revealing things is that whether you're liberal or conservative or wherever you stand in that spectrum, people are still finding this a common cause because of the severe implications that the enactment of Flock and what it does to our civil liberties, our privacy, and our rights as residents of this city and this community. What it does is extremely harmful regardless of how you vote. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Rachel Disterhalf, followed by Martin Webster. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, Oshkosh Common Council and Oshkosh community members.
I'm gonna sorry to interject, and you'll get your time back. If you could try to be closer to the mic so everybody can hear you.
Good day, Oshkosh Common Council and Oshkosh community members. I oppose the renewal of the Flock contract for a multitude of reasons. Lack of Flock transparency. We don't know what they do with the data, and they are not accountable to us. Proven instances of the system being hacked that they deny, and misuse by various police departments in other communities for their own personal surveillance are just a few of these reasons. I have lived in other countries where surveillance is much stronger, and I could feel my freedoms draining away when I lived there. I was happy to be back in the United States where I have the freedom of movement. And in this community, now that we have flock cameras, I can't even go to and from work without being watched by the government. I have no problem with the police stopping me and having conversations with me. I have no problem with the police coming to my door and asking me personally for video surveillance of the street in front of my house. But to know that we don't know where our data is going and what they're doing with it when it comes to everyone having access to it, hundreds of other departments outside of our own having access to the information that's provided by those cameras, as well as Flock themselves, which uses their AI in order to collect that data and then decide what is transmitted back to the police department. I don't believe that those things align with our freedoms, and I'd like the Oshkosh Common Council to please vote no to renew the contract for Flock today. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Martin Webster, followed by Steve Herman. Good evening. Welcome.
Nice to meet the council. Just to expand on what Rachel was saying there as well, do we really trust an organisation that one of its own contract terms, clause 5.1, that basically indemnifies itself from any responsibility for harm caused by the use of its products? Under what circumstance would that be acceptable elsewhere? And are we really willing to pay the subscription fee for them to be able to use this system to whatever extent that they wish to use, without them having any, without them having any hand in the outcome? Do we really trust them? I mean, the question can come to mind as well. Do you trust the government to be completely responsible with the data from Flock? Because it isn't just limited to our city as the data is retained by them. It can be used on a national federal scale. And if you do trust the current government, do you trust the next one? Do you trust the one after that? There is no accountability from Flock on this, and we've only got there where their system is secure. They police themselves. How is this acceptable? They're the least motivated to reveal any weaknesses in the system under any circumstances, because that could affect their revenue stream from the subscription basis. Dane County recently said that they were no longer going to support the Flock system. I would strongly urge that we follow their lead. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Herman, followed by Chu Pang. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Steve Herman. I live at 900 Monroe Street, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I served on the Oshkosh City Council from 2010 to 2020. I was the Sheriff's Deputy from 1979 to 2009 from the Winnebago County Sheriff's Office. My last 15 years was in the crime prevention field, and I support the Flock cameras. CCTVs are everywhere. I was at an event last night in a restaurant in Oshkosh that monitored the whole event by cameras. Everybody's face, everybody's movement in that establishment was being seen by anybody and everybody that was at that establishment. You go to Target, you go to Walmart, you go to any department store, cameras, cameras, cameras. That is the state of technology. If you go on the Oshkosh Police Department's webpage and look at their transparency portal, they have what's detected, what's not detected, accepted use of the policy, prohibited uses, access policies, hot list. It goes on and on of what they can and cannot do with this policy. I know that people are concerned about it, but they're getting license plates. And what has happened in the city the last few days? We had a shooting at a pub crawl. We had a domestic shooting on the northeast side of Oshkosh. Getting people's license plates is not detecting who they are. Yes, there is some concern. We all know that when it gets to policies, procedures, and guidelines. But if we look at the Oshkosh Police Department's certifications of Y League and Commission of Accreditation, they have to have policies, procedures, and guidelines that are accepted by national law enforcement agencies and others. And finally, if you look at the mission statement of the City of Oshkosh, it says the City of Oshkosh provides goods, services in pursuit of safe and vibrant community. Having cameras like we have now in the city adds to that vibrant and safe community. So I encourage the council, you're representing 68,000 citizens, along with us being no longer event city per se, but having all the people from EAA, Life Fest, other community events in our city, that they want to be safe and secure. And if something happens to them, their vehicle, their children, or others, they want to know that our police department's doing everything to find the culprit that harmed them. And so I would encourage the council to renew the contract. I agree with some of the statements that are made. Maybe we could start to put a little bit of a commission together or a group to look at improving the policies and procedures that we already have in place. But to take them down now would be a disservice to the people that are crime victims that are waiting for the police department to solve their crime. Thank you.
Thank you. Chu Pang, followed by Megan Hart. Welcome.
Welcome, thank you. Hi, Chu. Yeah, this time I'm much better is when I don't have to wait for like 6 hours. First, 5 of the 7 council members attended the public town hall organized by the community members last week. So I want to thank you first to those 5 council members for joining the public to listen to our concerns. And of the roughly 85 people there, all but one opposed renewing the contract. Tonight, many of us are here again with the same message. Despite this, some council members have repeatedly said this is an operational matter, not one of governance. That position does not hold. If this were purely operational, it would not require your vote. The fact that it does makes it your responsibility. As elected officials, I want to remind the council that you are accountable to the public. So the question is simple. Does the public input matter here or not? Many of you campaign on listening to constituents. Tonight is the test of that. Second, the fact that this technology is relatively new does not excuse incomplete due diligence. Community members have already raised credible concerns about data security and gaps in the city's review. Some members of the council may feel that they have studied the flock system and therefore feel confident in moving forward with renewing the contract. The council may have looked into the way OPD uses flock, but has the council studied the way flock manages our city data on their end? Has the council talked to the third-party cybersecurity consultants on the flock system of data storage and access? Third, individual success stories are not enough to justify a system costing of $163,000 and likely more in the future. Antidotes are not evidence. What matters is data. Has the council been given clear multi-year data since the city signed onto this contract in 2023, showing the flock meaningfully improves crime resolution rates? An attendee at the town hall last week asked this question to the lieutenants, and they replied back to us that there is no stats of such kind. After 3 years, the evidence should exist. If it does not, that is the problem. People, not automated systems, are the foundation of public safety. The issue is not whether technology can assist, but whether the city is relying on it without proof that it works. Finally, arguments about quote-unquote supporting the police or invoking serious issues like human trafficking miss the point. That is not about trust. This is not about trust or intentions. It is about whether this specific technology has been properly vetted or proven. So the questions remained: why were alternative vendors not seriously considered? Why was flock presented as the only option? Why are these gaps stay unresolved? Right now, the council does not appear to have the evidence needed to justify this resolution or this decision. Moving forward anyway is not due diligence, it is blind trust. You are elected to govern, not to defer. That means making decisions based on verifiable facts, not assumptions, not antidotes, and not personal trust in individuals. I urge you to meet their responsibility and vote accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you. Megan Hart, followed by Malia Hawkswell. Welcome.
Thank you. One sec, I'm a little short. Okay. Good evening. My name is Megan Hart. I did not speak last time. Public speaking is not my favorite, but I was inspired to speak this time. I hope I will be heard. As far as I'm aware, none of our city representatives are actually subject matter experts in this technology. The OPD has technical experience in law enforcement, but not cybersecurity and IT. Just because I use a cell phone as a tool every day doesn't mean I know the ins and outs of exactly how it works. The sales and PR representatives sent by Flock are also not subject matter experts in this technology. The only thing a PR rep is tasked with protecting is the image of their corporation of employment. In my experience, good leaders consult with people who actually have expertise in areas that they don't. Hire a consultant, hold an audit, caveat being not run by the corporation trying to sell you a product. That's a bit like cigarette companies hiring scientists to tell consumers that their cigarettes are healthy. Take concerns of the citizens seriously and engage with your constituents who are stepping forward as subject matter experts. That is the essence of civic engagement. I don't deny the use case presented by the OPD. I'm not naive enough to believe that criminals don't exist in our community. But why are we lowering our standards to a level where we are even considering a tool that has this level of risk? We hold our own local businesses to higher standards. Why are we not holding Flock to the same, if not higher, considering the circumstances? If you can't open a barbershop or a bar without safety inspections, what makes a company that tracks and records the daily movements of every person in the city of Oshkosh, interconnected with hundreds of agencies across the country, and with well-documented ethics and cybersecurity flaws beyond the same level of scrutiny as any local business? It would be wildly irresponsible to move forward with a contract that has received such high engagement and opposition from the community. Forcing this through now without taking sufficient time for the proper review and public input would represent a failure of city leadership, a degradation of trust. I call on our leaders to slow this down. I know that may sound funny given the snail's pace at which many government projects tend to move, but hear me out. We have the opportunity to develop surveillance technology regulations that actually protect our community, that will actually help preserve our rights and our freedom into the future, rather than just slapping a Band-Aid on this issue right now. I know that voting yes to this contract may get it off of your busy plates, may be a good political move. It may provide the OPD a tool that they can use right now, but in doing so, you will irreparably damage the trust between the citizens and our city's decision makers. You have people standing up and offering their expertise, people organizing town halls, and you have a level of civic engagement that opens the door to have real change-making collaborations between the city council, management, OPD, and the community. Please don't squander that opportunity. Vote no to renew the Flock contract, at least until we've put protections into place to protect our community as we look to the future together. Thank you.
Thank you. Malia Hawkswell, followed by Emmy Carrick.
All right, I promise to speak quickly. I timed myself at 5 minutes, 4 seconds. First things first, I want to say I swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution.
If you wouldn't mind trying to get just a little closer to the mic. Sorry, thank you.
Okay. Starting over.
Yep.
I swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That is why I'm speaking tonight. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Malia. I'm a veteran with 2 combat deployments where I served as a counterterrorism intelligence analyst. That is the lens I am bringing to you tonight. Not a hobbyist opinion, not a partisan opinion, a professional opinion. I am here to tell you that renewing Flock is a national security risk, and I am not the only person in my field who holds that view. Let me walk you through what we actually know, not what I suspect, what is documented. On November 3rd of last year, a United States Senator and Congressman sent a joint letter to the FTC asking for an investigation into Flock safety. That letter is public, which I have provided to the council and encourage everyone in the room to read tonight prior to a vote. In that letter, 3 things were placed on the public record. First, Flock does not require multi-factor authentication for its law enforcement customers. Second, the cybersecurity firm Hudson Rock has documented at least 35 Flock customer accounts whose passwords have been stolen by hackers and are circulating online right now. Third, and this is the one I want every member of the council to hear clearly, a security researcher provided Congress with a screenshot from a Russian language cybercrime forum showing Flock accounts being offered for sale online and then removed, indicating they have been sold successfully. Russian cybercrime forum. I've seen it for myself, the source directly. That is not speculation, that is documented evidence handed to the United States Congress. Now I want you to understand what that means in my world. Foreign intelligence services target government officials, they target journalists, they target dissidents. They target the most talented engineers and scientists in this country because slowing American innovation is a strategic objective for our adversaries. They target women, they target children for trafficking and for kidnapping. Pattern of life data, knowing where a person drives, when, how often, with whom, is the single most valuable input for any of those operations. To quote the police chief directly, we don't do high-speed chases anymore because we already know where they're going. That is pattern of life. That is what license plate readers produce. That is the product. And we now have documented evidence that access to it is being trafficked on Russian forums. So when you vote on Flock, you are not voting on a parking enforcement tool. You are voting on whether to keep feeding a database that has already been breached, that is already being accessed by federal agents who are not authorized, that is already being sold on foreign cybercrime forums, and that sits inside a federated network most residents of the city have never heard of. Now I want to address something directly. I have heard it suggested that the community wants Flock. I would like to know who. On March 31st, this council held a meeting that ran 7.5 hours. 3 of those hours were spent on Flock. 13 residents, including myself, stood at this podium, and 1 spoke in opposition. 2 weeks ago, this community led a discussion on Flock. Roughly 70 residents attended. The room was largely opposed. Tonight, when you hear from the public, I expect you will hear the same thing. Very few voices in support. Many voices from many backgrounds telling you the same thing. And on that point, I want this council to know, on the record in this room tonight, that earlier today, I filed a formal Wisconsin Public Records request with the city of Oshkosh. That request seeks every communication the city has received from the public over the past 12 months regarding Flock, ALPRs, or related surveillance technology. Every email to every council member, the mayor, the city manager, and the police chief. Every letter, every voicemail, every social media message, every comment submitted through the city's website, and under Shillview, Wisconsin Rapids School District, communications sent to personal email addresses and personal phones when they concern city business are public records as well. I'm telling you this publicly so there is no ambiguity. The actual record of constituent contact is going to become public. So if anyone tonight tells you the community wants this, that claim will be measured against the real correspondence already sitting in the city's inboxes. I would encourage every member of the council to consider that before you vote tonight. You have technical experts telling you Flock is a data breach risk. You have a national security professional, myself, telling you this data is exactly what our adversaries collect and exploit. You have civil liberties advocates telling you the constitutional questions are unsettled and in active litigation. You have residents telling you that they do not consent to being tracked. So I would like to ask the council on the record, who is asking you to renew Flock? Because it's not the experts, it's not the veterans, it's not the 70 or so people that showed up to the town hall, and I do not believe it is going to be the people who show up tonight. I have 4 requests if you are undecided or intend to vote yes on renewal. 1, a complete public accounting of every agency receiving Oshkosh data direct and downstream through the MOCIC, through Midwest HIDTA, and through every federated fusion center in that chain. 2, a public change log on the Flock transparency portal, including but not limited to an itemized record of what sharing policy changed, when and why. Would you like to hear my last 2 requests? That's it.
Your time's up.
It would build trust.
And
it's like 10, 20 seconds.
And I gave a directive at the beginning of the meeting that no one was going to be getting extended time due to the sheer length of the list. Emmy Carrick, followed by Carrie Tetzloff. Welcome.
Hi. I would like to start by saying thank you to the council members and members of OPD who have been engaging with residents about this conversation, and especially those who were able to make it to the resident-led town hall. We appreciate your engagement. I'd like to start off by saying that while there are a lot of different opinions about Flock in this room, I think that one thing we can all agree on is that we want to live in safe communities. I think what appeals to people about these cameras is the possibility that they could help us catch the bad guy. We want to catch the bad guy, we all want that. While that sounds nice, the research and the data about these systems tell a very different story. We've read the contract, we've researched the technology, we've reviewed countless news stories detailing misuse, we've discovered lawsuits, and we found glaring red flags in the way that our data is being handled. All of this makes it very clear that the bad guy in this case is Flock. This tech could be in the hands of the most trustworthy PD in the world, and it would still be unsafe at best. I appreciate that OPD has put safety procedures in place, but that does not protect us from having our data abused or sold by Flock. It does not prevent misuse by the 533 outside agencies that we share data with. It does not prevent the federal government from accessing our data, and it does not prevent hackers or foreign entities from tapping into the system. We cannot policy our way out of a surveillance infrastructure so reckless that members of the House Oversight Committee recently called for a full investigation into it, describing Flock as having, quote, negligent cybersecurity practices that needlessly expose Americans to the threat of hackers and foreign spies. How can Flock cameras be safe or keep us safe if they double as a threat to national security? This system is not right for Oshkosh, and I am not content to pay for mass surveillance with my tax dollars. This is not an investment into our safety. This is an investment into our exploitation. And I am confident that together we could find ways to keep our community safe that don't involve violating our Fourth Amendment rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie Tetzlaff, followed by Jordan Hansen. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. I just want to start by thanking those of you who attended the public conversation. I thought it was awesome for our community to be in a free speech forum in person, offline, and in a space where everyone was welcome to share their opinion and be heard. And I think those of you who stayed after and had additional conversations with attendees, I thought that was great too. We all care about safety, no matter which side of this issue you're on. I think you deeply care about safety. That's truly a nonpartisan issue, right? We want to live in a safe community. We, as a community, want to have a voice in how we're policed, and we want to feel safe and secure. Safety really can be defined so differently by different people. Sometimes the scope of which safety is analyzed on this issue is narrowly scoped through the lens of fast people catching by law enforcement. But if you were to talk to somebody who is concerned about erosion of their civil liberties and their Fourth Amendment rights, warrantless searches, they might define safety differently. If you were to talk to a person who is a domestic abuse victim and they're scared to drive by a Flock camera because they're worried about how data of their travel patterns could travel, they might define safety differently. If you were to talk to somebody that's a member of the immigrant community that's worried, or somebody who's in a group that's been recently labeled un-American by our federal government, they may define safety differently. I am really, really worried. I don't want to repeat all the things that I've emailed to you guys, and I appreciate all the conversations that you guys have had with me already. I'm really worried about cybersecurity risks with how this data is stored cloud-based. There's a reason why OPD has their own servers that are not cloud-based to store sensitive data, and I don't understand why travel patterns of citizens would be stored less securely than that. I think it's really important that we have an audit done by a third party on this contract, and I would urge you to vote no for that reason, to buy us time to get that third party audit. There were great analogies made earlier. The one, I love the cigarette company funding their own science analogy. My thought thinking about this topic is when I bought a house here in Oshkosh, if the seller would have offered to pay for the inspection of the home, I would not have taken them up on that offer. I would not have valued the information that would have been provided by somebody who has a vested interest in selling me a product. I would want to seek that information from a qualified professional funded by myself. I'm really concerned about abuse of these systems. We have seen in Menasha and Milwaukee and all across the country officers using this information for personal reasons, including stalking. We can have trust in OPD and still be worried about this, because we can't control the policies of other police departments. There's over 500 of them who receive our data, possibly beyond, based on the transparency portal, and some of the groups who we share with, their sole purpose is to share data beyond. There was recently, actually just today, an article published in the Badger Project that examined liability for cities related to the Menasha case specifically. That article mentioned Flock, of course, but also talked about this wandering officer hiring policy, where sometimes officers can be terminated from one police department and hired elsewhere. I'd like to think, and do believe, that our police department has better policies than that, but we're sharing with police departments that make decisions like that to put people who have been terminated elsewhere in roles where they're being given access to sensitive information. I'd like to see a vote no for all these reasons. Surveillance creep is real. Desensitization to mass surveillance is a real phenomenon. I can hear this echoed when I do hear community members say, well, we're on camera when we go out to Walmart, right? We're on camera when we go out in public. We can become desensitized to that. I'd like you to ask yourself the question, would you be comfortable with one of these cameras monitoring your exit entry into your own driveway every day? Would you be comfortable with one of these cameras on every street? Would you be comfortable with being asked to self-report your whereabouts to the government whenever you travel on a main road? It would feel different than if the information was passively collected. To me, that would feel like a major rights violation. And the same kind of database, AI, searchable database is being generated, whether we voluntarily share the information or whether it's being passively gathered and harvested. I'd like to see meaningful guardrails put up to prevent surveillance creep. I'd like us to have standards here in City of Oshkosh that we could then use those standards to scope out. Am I at my time? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jordan Hansen, followed by Chris Altoff. Welcome.
Hi, Jordan Hansen. A lot of people have said a lot of things against Flock so far, and I want to echo what they've said and second it without repeating it. What I do want to say is, to start with, what do we want to live, or where do we want to live? Do we want to live in a community where we are free and equal citizens that are trusted to go about our daily lives every day, and we don't have to deal with a surveillance state? Or do we want to, are we innocent until proven guilty, or do we want to live in a truly totalitarian surveillance state? I mean, this is one part, Flock is one part of it, but it's one part that we can control here in Oshkosh right now. The Gestapo or the NKVD, they would only dream about having a surveillance system as comprehensive and as focused as this is. It tracks all of us every day, and I don't believe it's just your license plates. It sees the occupants of the vehicle, it sees the damage on your cars, the bumper stickers, it profiles your entire vehicle. And so if it only gets a little piece of it because another car is there, it still knows you're there. What kind of community and country do we want to live in? Again, one where we are innocent until proven guilty, or we are guilty until proven innocent. Second thing I want to say is, you all had to be elected to get here. We are your voters, we are your constituents. I don't think any of you campaigned for Flock. It's not going to be violating a campaign promise you made to vote no on this. We are speaking out. We're doing our job and our part by showing up. Overwhelmingly opposed to Flock. I was not able to attend the library meeting. I had a different meeting, but we're here. We're speaking out. We're doing our part. And I'm asking you to do your part and listen to what we're saying and vote no on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Altoff, followed by Jonathan Wilburn. Welcome.
Thank you for allowing me to stand up here today and take your time. I do not wish to see our community continue to pay for the direct infringement upon our Fourth Amendment rights, a cost that continues to trade safety for our personal freedoms, trade the intelligence and information gathering tools for personal responsibility, and trades our own personal information into a corporation's highest bidder scenario with a pay-to-play game that just seemingly never ends. Municipalities among Dane County have recently moved to remove their contracts, saving our taxpayers money and restoring their rights. I think would be a great idea for this community as well. Please consider not tabling this issue and just ending it, saying no. Give us our rights back and our tax money. Thank you.
Thank you. Jonathan Wilburn, followed by Stephanie Lose. Good evening.
Hi. So I want to start off and commend all of you for engaging with the community on this issue. Over the last month, I'm sure you've heard all there is to say on Flock and then some. So thank you for listening to our concerns. And then, of course, welcome to the new members. I'm sure this has been a very fun start for you. So getting into my remarks, I want to rebut some of the statements that were brought up at the last meeting and in between there. So the first, what's the difference between this Flock, between that, a Ring camera, or other public safety cameras? Well, people, of course, can do what they want with their own property. This includes businesses. I don't have to like Ring or public surveillance to recognize that right. Now, of course, these are public funds, and I'm a taxpayer, so I definitely don't want to see this be put up. I certainly wouldn't go into any of your homes, rob you, take your money, and install my own cameras and say it was for your own good. Something interesting as well, Flock claims that it can only track license plates in vehicles and lacks facial recognition. Aggregation of everyone's pattern of life is scary enough, but facial recognition and more advanced tracking is only one update away. We all saw that Super Bowl ad where Ring found a dog in its community, and if it can find a dog, it can definitely find a person. Now, Flock did nix their agreement with Ring. However, they didn't do that because they don't want to or because they didn't think it was a good idea. They did it because of public backlash. So it is something you can imagine they still want to get done. One of the other points as well, someone mentioned that nothing Flock could say could convince us to like them. And yeah, that's true. Nothing they could say could make me like them. But at the same time, that's not justification to assuage our concerns. There are plenty of things that I couldn't be convinced of, and same for you, and that I would hope wouldn't be seriously considered. You can use your imagination just to come up with a couple examples. Slavery, segregation, any number of crimes, or even being convinced out of your own faith are all things that I would hope you wouldn't be able to convince out of or into, and same with me. One other thing I thought was interesting, someone mentioned, this is just a plurality of citizens, not the majority that don't like Flock. Well, it's a plurality that pluralities decide elections. So those are the voices I'd recommend listening to. And then finally, I just have two pleas and questions that I'd want answered before we would ever adopt this is, if we do adopt this, where does it end? Truly, if we can justify Flock, then we can justify any such technology, any mass surveillance technology. And then lastly, if we utilize Flock, what makes us different from the authoritarian, anti-democratic countries that America is supposed to be against? Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie Lose, I'm sorry if I said that. Losey, thank you. And then followed Deb Martin after.
All right. Good evening, Council. My name is Stephanie, and I am here again to ask you to vote no on Agenda Item 37, the Flock contract renewal. So I come with some of the same concerns I raised a couple weeks ago, as I do not feel they have been properly addressed. Specifically, what has been done about Fourth Amendment concerns such as warrantless surveillance and mass tracking? What safeguards have been implemented to prevent officer abuse of this system? What has been done about Flock's own security vulnerabilities? Also, I would like to see more transparency between Oshkosh Police Department and the public. Overall, crime is trending down in Oshkosh, yet the word safety is being weaponized and used as if we cannot walk our streets without fear. For example, Oshkosh Police Department Policy and Procedure 204.02 authorizes ALPRs to assist in providing safety. This vague language could justify almost any action in the name of safety. And I will tell you, I feel less safe under a system of constant mass surveillance. The ACLU warns that police departments are coordinating with Flock in unseemly ways. We saw this at our last meeting, a joint presentation by Oshkosh Police Department and Flock, as if they were partners, not public servants and a vendor. Our community held a public forum, which we've mentioned. This issue is not being taken lightly by anyone, and I do appreciate all of the time that the members of, that the council members have taken in hearing the community's voice in this issue. But when real privacy and security risks are repeatedly raised and not remedied, where does that leave public trust? If you push this contract through without independent oversight, a third-party audit, real transparency, you will damage this council's relationship with this community. Once our data is out there, we cannot take it back. If council approves a contract, we cannot change it as we go. I am deeply concerned about the continuation and expansion of invasive surveillance in our city. And this evening, I urge you to cancel the contract with Flock Safety. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Deb Martin, followed by Nick Flan.
Hi. I believe everything that the previous people said, so I, again, don't want to repeat it. But I'll say that I think our civil liberties are at risk here. And I know during the time of COVID, people were like, the government shouldn't tell me to wear a mask. The government shouldn't tell me to have a vaccine. But now some people are okay with the government surveilling me wherever I go. 27 cameras mean that I drive around the city. It doesn't feel right. I want to live in a democracy, not a fascist or communist state. I have been to Cuba. I've been to Israel. I've been to Palestine. I've seen cameras in all these places, and I'm seeing how people's lives are affected as they're watched and surveilled in those places. And I don't want that here in Oshkosh. I've been here 11 years, and I plan to stay here many, many more. When I was in business, and we made a change in something, we had to follow up in a year or 2 years to see, did it work? Was it effective? And how much money did we save? I was an industrial engineer, so saving money was the name of the game. And if it wasn't saving us the money that we thought it would, we either changed what we were doing or we went back to the way we'd done it before. We needed data and we needed proof of it. When I heard the presentation a few weeks ago by Flock with the OPD, I heard some anecdotal things. I heard about 3, maybe 4 actual examples, but that doesn't tell me what percentage of crime was solved using those. That's just some information. It's not real data. I need to know, is it 5% of crimes? Is it 2%? We do know that crime's been going down. That's records that any of us can look up. Crime is on the decrease in Oshkosh, and I thank OPD for that. That's wonderful, but I don't understand that Flock has been the reason for those decreases. Thanks for listening. I agree too. I can't imagine how much time you guys have spent learning and listening and talking with us, and I thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Nick Flan, followed by Ethan Keller. Nick, before you start, can you confirm your address? Are you from is it an Appleton address?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Nick Flan. I work within the city of Oshkosh and live in surrounding cities which also utilize Flock safety systems. I support effective law enforcement, but have concerns on the governance of the Flock safety system and data collected. I've sent documentation to the city clerk to provide supporting resources with hyperlinks for those digitally viewing, and high-level concerns not addressed today. An interconnected system of cameras combined with powerful filtering and search function becomes more than observation. It identifies an individual's pattern of life. These patterns can be effective for a multitude of legitimate purposes relating to law enforcement and civil assistance. It is clear these patterns have value, and the system that collects them has a responsibility to protect them. The flock safety system does not provide adequate safeguards to these patterns and the data collected. The system can be abused by authorized users and has been documented in several cities, some close to home. Externally, there are multiple high-risk cybersecurity vulnerabilities with multi-year-long discovery dates active for flock safety systems in the National Vulnerability Database. Flock Safety has published reports. The company is aware of these vulnerabilities and will address them appropriately, but lacks validation and independent review. While these concerns may sound limited in edge case, it is important to note the privacy policy places the system liability on the customer, which may carry significant risk and costs in the event of an incident. There are solutions to the concerns that the greater community and I have addressed. However, Flock Safety is incentivized to sell an attractive product and downplay the concerns of privacy. I urge the City Council to investigate Flock Safety prior to renewing the contract and reevaluate if it is the right company to assist with law enforcement and safeguard the valuable data of its community. Thank you.
Thank you. Ethan Keller, followed by Christina Taylor. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the recently elected council members. I know you guys are kind of stepping into a hot topic here. I spoke at the March 31st meeting, and I'm speaking again to urge you to vote no on the Flock contract. There's a wealth of well-documented concerns about this technology and how this company operates and uses that technology. Both citizens of this community, as well as reputable national publications and researchers, have laid bare these concerns, and they've been echoed by this community tonight. What has been made clear to me is that according to the OPD's own data, Oshkosh, like the rest of the nation, has seen a downward trend in crime for the last 20 years. Flock was implemented only 3 years ago in the city of Oshkosh. So for the better part of 2 decades, this community, in partnership with the OPD, has been doing good work to reduce crime and make our community safer without the need for mass surveillance. What this suggests to me is that this system is an unnecessary government surveillance of law-abiding citizens. What has also been made clear to me by the empirical data is showing that investments in after-school programs, mental health programs, addiction recovery, housing assistance, etc. programs addressing root causes are more effective at reducing crime and have the added benefit of reducing the workload of our already strained PD. Renewing this contract would not only be poor long-term fiscal policy, but would reflect a failure of city management to accurately diagnose and treat these issues. And because of the format of this meeting, I as a community member can't really have a dialogue with you, so I have to ask you to ask the following questions to the PD and Flock, because I assume they're going to present after community input. And don't take simple answers for complicated questions. There's a saying that a man with a simple answer has an agenda. Anything else is abdication of your duties. I want you to ask the PD and Flock how they think misuse of this mass surveillance technology could negatively impact our community. While a bar misusing its privilege may impact those people that visit the establishment, misuse of this technology impacts every single person that lives, works, and travels through this community. With the availability of alternative products, some of which are currently used by our PD, and the focus more on data privacy and security, are the clearly documented security risks and ethical concerns presented by Flock truly worth it? And third, if community programs have been shown to be more effective, if crime as a whole in Oshkosh and nationwide is on a 20-year low and trending downward, why do we need to spend money on this system if we've already been doing the good work? And I want to leave you with one final thought. The systems that shape our lives most profoundly are not often created in grand debate or with careful design. These systems emerge as decisions that are made under pressure. Over time, temporary decisions harden into institutions that will last for generations. When we talk about Flock, we're not just talking about mass surveillance. We're actually talking about the spirit of democracy itself, about trust, about responsibility, and the invisible choices that our society makes on how we choose to care for one another. Thank you.
Thank you. Christina Taylor, followed by Andy Toman. If no Christina, we'll go right to Andy Toman. Good
Hi
evening.
again.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I've talked to a lot of you over the last few weeks, and so I won't repeat what you already know. There's a few things I do want to say, just more so for the public's sake, that however you vote, they know that you know this information. There's one thing that I want to say before I start saying some of my remarks, because earlier there was a resident who was talking who ran out of time, and I was curious what her last 2 points were. That if Flock comes in here, or if we continue with it, what they would have to answer to. So her last 2 points were that there needs to be an independent cybersecurity audit commissioned by the city of Oshkosh, not by Flock, with the findings made public. And her fourth point was there needs to be a hardware-based multi-factor authentication required for every Flock account with access to Oshkosh data. These keys cost as little as $10 a piece, and if that cost is too high for the department to absorb, then the department should not have access to a federated surveillance database in the first place. So if Flock will not agree to all of those 4 points of the two she mentioned before and these ones in writing, that should really tell us something. So I wanted to hear 2 points. I want other people to hear that. And so, like I said, I've already talked to a lot of you. You already know my points, and a lot of other people have already said this, so I don't want to repeat. I want to try to be concise. But I do want to clarify a few things that I've heard in the public said, and even tonight, that's saying, hey, we've had CCTVs forever. And these are not CCTVs. I think you all know that, and if people are watching, you should know that too. These are very different. These are not just cameras people can watch. They are tracking and creating patterns of life profiles where we, as the chief has said himself, like, we know where people are going to be. We know these profiles because we know what they are. That is very different from cameras. One of the other interesting things that I've heard, I talked to the chief a week or 2 weeks ago, I can't remember, and asked him about this, and he said, hey, look, like, why are you worried about this? Because I can already track you through your phone and through your smart car, which I thought was interesting, but a few things on that. One, those require a warrant to get that data. Right now with the Flock cameras, that doesn't require a warrant to collect that data. So that is a little bit different. The other thing I would say is just because we currently have things that invade our privacy, why are we allowing another one? And then the third point, which I think is kind of interesting about that, if he can already track us, why are we paying for something that's redundant? That just seems financially irresponsible. So if we already have the technology, we can track us through our phones through a warrant, why pay for this other technology that we don't need? And so I just wanted to say those things. I know, I think you all know that, and I want to make sure that when you are deciding your vote tonight, that you're keeping those things in mind, that this is different from just cameras. This is different from even cell phones and cars, because I can leave my phone at home. I don't have to go to Pick and Save where they have a Flock camera. This is different from being on public roads. These things are different, and it's important that we address them as different things. And so ultimately, a lot of people have already said tonight, like, you have the information, you're hearing your constituents saying, we do not feel comfortable with this, we do not feel safe with this. People are saying, like, oh, there's a safety thing, but we're saying, this doesn't make us feel more safe, this makes us feel less safe. And so I want you to vote with that in mind. So if anything, even more than just Flock, what we're talking about tonight is how decisions are made as a community. And if you won't hear the majority of your constituents and saying, we don't feel comfortable, I think that is an issue. And I would appreciate when you talk, if you give reasons for how you're going to vote, and if you're still on the fence, like, you're hearing the majority of your constituents saying, we don't want this. And I hope that you vote in line with what your constituents are asking. So thanks for listening.
Thank you. Jacob Claymeyer, followed by Jeremiah Wincher. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. Hello. Thank you for having us. I believe we're all here today because we share a common goal. It's to build trust in one another and to support safety for everybody in our community. Building trust requires deep listening. True safety is the responsibility of everyone to one another. Thank you, Council, OPD, and everyone here for engaging with this. It's important work. Oshkosh residents, council, city staff, news, students, and more have engaged with this process of evaluating this contract with Flock Safety Incorporated. Together, we have identified several crimes solved using ALPRs, along with several serious issues with data security, trust in entities outside of our community, and established examples of abuse. To move forward without serious damage to community trust and to support safety for all, we need to confront and create solutions together for the real issues posed by Flock Safety Incorporated mass surveillance system. I implore the council to negotiate a solution that builds trust and safety. To move forward responsibly, I propose the following actions instead of renewing the contract today. Number 1, engage cybersecurity experts to assist the city officials in thoroughly analyzing and safeguarding the data collected, the data shared with over 500 other agencies, and ensuring robust protections against breaches or misuse. There are current policies in regards to this, but the OPD ALPR policy audits as little as 10% of their own searches and has no stated policy or procedure to review other agencies' searches. Number 2, renegotiate the contract terms with Flock Safety Incorporated to establish accountability measures that clearly define consequences for any policy violations, prioritizing community rights and transparency. Flock Safety Incorporated's contract terms currently puts all data sharing risks and misuse of the data as the fault of their customer, the city of Oshkosh. It's Flock Safety Incorporated systems that have vulnerabilities both in their software architecture that spreads data to many access points rather than a more secure system, and it's also their camera hardware that has several unresolved weaknesses according to the United States of America's National Institute of Standards and Technology. Number 3, establish independent oversight of ALPR data usage to monitor compliance, promptly identify any breaches of trust, and maintain community confidence. The current transparency dashboard is opaque with only surface-level statistics visible. When a Menasha police officer abused the ALPR data, it was unnoticed by Flock Safety Incorporated checks and Menasha Police Department's self-audits. We can do better together, right? Without imparting undue clerical work and conflicts of interest on Oshkoshville Police Department, and by building community trust with engagement in this independent oversight. Altogether, these steps help us balance effective public safety and trust with respect for privacy and civil liberties. I also wanted to address the previous council member's concern about gun violence and the regularity of CCTVs. Flock cameras did not prevent these tragedies and others, but with the help of OPD, we were able to find the perpetrators. Support of our community's families can actually truly prevent this violence, not just catch the perpetrators. Training and de-escalation, not only for our police department, but for our community members, our students, our kids, and everybody in our community can help prevent those sorts of issues. Policing in partnership with community, not in suspect of everyone's movements, can provide a sense of safety that we all need in a vibrant community. I think they touched on the other CCTV items as well, but in general, you know, a CCTV owner can choose to keep that security footage private, unlike sharing it with thousands of other people, and it's protected by warrant rights. So with this new technology, we need new informed safety strategies. Thank you so much for your consideration and your time, everybody.
Thank you. Jeremiah Wincher, followed by Jonathan Wilburn. Good evening, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. I've been a resident of the city of Oshkosh since the year 2000, when I first moved here to attend the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh. After graduating, I then consciously chose to make Oshkosh my permanent home. I remain a resident and a registered voter in the 5th Ward in the city of Oshkosh. I am here today to express my strong support for renewing the Oshkosh Police Department's contract with Flock Safety. In recent weeks, I have followed public discourse surrounding the use of ALPR cameras in our community. Much of the concerns appear to stem from some level of misinformation and social media-driven narratives rather than actual capabilities and limitations of the system. I want to address two commonly cited concerns, the first being surveillance and the second being accountability. First, ALPR systems do not create a surveillance state. These cameras do not identify individuals, they do not use facial recognition, and they do not monitor citizens' daily activities. They capture only limited and designated vehicle-related data from public spaces, no more than any individual could observe themselves by standing on a sidewalk. Additionally, the system retains data for only a short period of time before it is automatically purged, assisting in the assurances that the limited and designated data does not become any sort of permanent record. Secondly, accountability is built into the system's use. The Oshkosh Police Department operates under established policies and procedures, and I do have complete confidence in this department's leadership, who is here today, to ensure that these tools are used appropriately and responsibly. The conversation should focus on maintaining and refining those policies, not eliminating an effective public safety tool. The value of ALPR technology has already been demonstrated locally. A recent apprehension of one of Wisconsin's most wanted offenders, a homicide suspect attempting to hide in our city, was made possible in part due to ALPR assistance. Removing this resource would only increase the likelihood that dangerous individuals could enter or remain in Oshkosh undetected. No member of the council would feel comfortable knowing a violent fugitive was allowed to live here simply because we chose to abandon a proven tool. Beyond apprehension, ALPR technology can be critical in locating missing, abducted, or endangered persons when a vehicle description or license plate is known. I ask each council member to consider whether eliminating this tool is a risk you're willing to take, especially if life may depend on the speed at which law enforcement can act. If the council wishes to make Oshkosh a more difficult place for violent offenders to hide, then renewing this contract is essential. If the council wishes to support the police department in quickly solving crimes, locating vulnerable individuals, and protecting residents, then maintaining this resource is the responsible choice. With renewal, I encourage continued collaboration with the police department's leadership to ensure strict adherence to policies and procedures. This decision is not necessarily about politics or pressure. It's about safety of the people who call Oshkosh home. While public opinion may at times be very loud, you are elected to make a decision based on fact. As a resident of the city of Oshkosh, I strongly urge you to vote in favor of renewing the flock safety contract. Continue to prioritize public safety, accuracy, and accountability, and ensure our police department has the tools it needs to protect the community effectively. Leadership itself is not easy, but making the right decisions should be. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jonathan Wilburn, followed by Meg Johnson. Okay. Meg Johnson, come on up. Welcome.
Hello, Council. Thank you for being here tonight and hearing out your community. I'm here to oppose the flock contract. They've been proven hackable. Police have already been abusing the data. Take Jay Johnson, the police chief in Greenfield. You can look him up. And they could be a potential death sentence, especially for women. As a survivor of domestic violence by a man who now works for the sheriff's department, and someone who had a recent attempted break-in, these cameras are putting myself and other people in danger. If we're focusing on community development, what about our children? The $163,000 could pay student lunch debt for over 2 years. I'd much rather have my tax dollars go to feeding children than putting a target on my back. Thank you.
Thank you. Rudy James I'm going to murder that last name. Lilberg? I'm sorry. I don't see Rudy. Michael Krieger, followed by Noah Irish. Welcome.
Hey, good evening. So the majority of people are not willing to give up the freedom of privacy for the false claims of a sense of safety and security. We are moving at an ever-accelerating rate towards a federal police state, much along the lines of Mussolini, Hitler, Kim Jong-un, and all of the enablers and sycophants, without feeling this at all, that this is a statement of exaggeration. History holds the truth. We can look back at history and see how everything that's occurring now has happened in the past. Things move at a quick rate, one thing, then another, then 10, then 100. We as a community and a country understand that crime exists, but the root causes never seem to be adequately addressed to actually bring down the rate of crime. Although these cameras may assist in arrests, they do nothing to bring down the crime rates, and the fear of this federal government administration tapping into them causes most of us great fear, with the possibility of anyone being targeted for nonconformity is horrifying. Indigenous communities all around the globe never make decisions based on how is this going to affect us now, but how is this going to affect the next 7 generations. That's what people need to think about. No decisions can solve things tomorrow. Everything takes time. So quick solutions are always failures.
Thank you. Noah Irish, followed by TJ Hobbs. And Noah, can you just confirm, are you from Neenah?
I am from Neenah, correct.
Thank you.
I work in the city of Oshkosh. I work for a company that's contracted by the Department of Public Works, which is why I'm concerned with this issue. So I guess one thing I wanted to bring up is that these cameras are free or included with the cost, and part of the reason, at least in my opinion, is that these cameras themselves are kind of cheap. They run on an Android OS, and if someone were to get physical access,
Can you speak more to that?
sorry, I apologize. How much of that did you guys actually get?
Not a ton.
Okay. So I'm from Neenah, as I mentioned earlier. I work in the city of Oshkosh. I work for a company that's contracted by the Department of Public Works. So something that I wanted to mention is that these cameras are free or included in their cost for the flock surveillance system. And part of the reason I think that they are free or included, other than they want to get their foot in the door, is because these cameras themselves are kind of cheap because they have physical vulnerabilities. They run on an Android OS, and with physical access to any of these cameras and a couple of button presses, you can essentially turn the flock cameras into a router and then be able to access them remotely. While I understand that there are the back-end concerns as well, and that this would require someone to actually go and interact with the camera, and the department would have to let them actually interact with the camera to do this stuff, is still another vulnerability that I think should be looked at. So if we were to look at situations that would allow us to investigate auditing flock, it would be an opportunity to look into other cameras and devices that might have proprietary software and operating systems that might help solve these security concerns. There was also a question about effectiveness of the license plate readers as a whole. There's a very popular Ben Jordan video circulating on the internet right now where he used vinyl stickers to essentially create what the AI camera would be seeing as noise to make it so that the camera cannot actually identify the license plate itself. So if there were a fugitive hiding in Oshkosh, it wouldn't necessarily be the flock cameras reading the license plate to catch them, assuming that this fugitive is informed and goes on the internet and all of that stuff. So at the end of the day, I'd like to feel like a community member and not a citizen on the show The Wire. Thank you.
Thank you. TJ Hobbs? Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, Council. All right. So I'm going to try to switch my points around based on what was already said as well. Thank you to everybody who spoke before me that was against renewing the flock contract. I agree with those sentiments. I want to start by quickly just reminding us what the Fourth Amendment says, because I know I had to Google it. I don't have it memorized, so I'm going to read it for everybody here just so it's in the record. The Constitution of the United States, Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the person or things to be seized. So basically, my understanding is, not an attorney, disclaimer in effect, you need a warrant to search people, and our right to privacy is something that the Constitution gives to each of us. So I then want to also speak into the record what I learned from the ACLU today. I think it's important that we reference that. Multiple lawsuits, including a new federal class action lawsuit filed this month in April of 2026. They argue that, and this is from the American Civil Liberties Union, I don't remember if I said that, they argue that these programs, ALPR programs such as Flock, they do violate the Fourth Amendment per these lawsuits. Their claims focus on the mass collection of location data and the warrantless searches of movement history. So essentially, anybody looking over the shoulder of someone who has access to Flock at any time can see where any given person is, even if they themselves don't have a passkey or code for that information. And anyone at any time in any of those 500 plus police departments can just do a warrantless search on any of us for any reason, including, they just disagree with our views and want to know where we live to cause harm to any of us for any reason. Now, to kind of keep things light, I do like to just write. My grandma was a poet. I came up with an analogy that I wanted to share for folks just to try to keep it interesting. After listening to all the cybersecurity experts, the intelligent analysis, and the civil liberty experts, I understand now Flock is operating essentially like a modern day lead pipe sales company, right? The lead pipes in homes. Allow me to explain. So from my perspective, these lead pipes, they were originally used because it made plumbing easier. We know lead obviously causes brain damage. It's very dangerous, but at the time it made the pipes for plumbing, it was easy to bend it, so it was easy to use lead pipes. It was right there. That reminds me a lot, or kind of is similar to how OPD, I feel, is telling us that flock makes policing easier. I'm sure it does, right? But thanks again to researchers in the field of ALPRs, we know that like lead pipes, flock is dangerous to every single one of us per essentially all of our information of where we go, and like if folks are saying our patterns of life is accessible by anybody that has access to any of those 500 plus police departments, et cetera, anyone that they float from police department to police department. I think it's important to note that the folks that are here today to speak from Flock flew in, if they're the same folks from last time, or I know at least last time they flew in. Our sales folks, that's their specialty, is to sell and to tell you the good things. It's not to tell you the risks. They're not on the hook financially for violating the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, which we may very well be as a city. I have been taxed enough. I know a lot of people feel that way. And I think that this is one of those rare nonpartisan issues that all parties really agree on. And we, should just focus on building that trust and listening to those voices of folks. As, we don't want to make it possible for bad actors around the world to, target folks in our city. I really just want to end by saying, listen to the experts on this, please, because unless any of you are a cybersecurity expert or an intelligence expert, I really don't think we understand the risks unless we've consulted with them over the sales folks, whose, again, job is to make money over all else. And I just really want to make sure that we, don't open ourselves up to liability as well. So thank you again, and please say no to that Flock contract renewal today.
Thank you. Just want to make sure I give a few people who registered a chance to speak one more time. Reverend Alan Rasmussen, I think thought I saw you coming in. And then Christina Taylor, just want to make sure one last time. If you're here, come on up. Good evening, Reverend. Welcome.
Thank you. I was at the county board meeting. Good evening. I'm Reverend Ellen Rasmussen, pronouns she, her, and hers, and I am an ordained elder in the United Methodist Church with 25 years of experience in disaster response ministry as well. I've had 4 years of service as a law enforcement chaplain, and I am currently a member of the Wisconsin Alliance for Civic Trust through the Whitburn Center at UWO. And I want to acknowledge that this is an organizational meeting, a moment where the new council begins its shared work. And the decisions made tonight help define who you will be together. When I spoke on March 31st, I said people keep each other safe, and I still believe that. And tonight I want to take that one step further. Because if that is true, then our investments should reflect it. We are talking tonight about safety. But safety is not just about responding to harm. It is about preventing it. We know what creates safer communities. When people have enough food, when children are supported, when families are stable, when neighbors know each other, and when there is trust between people and the institutions. I recently asked the Oshkosh Area Food Pantry the difference $80,000 would make in a year. It could double the food available to children in the school pantry program. Or it could fully fund milk for an entire year at the pantry, or the eggs. Or it would also double the amount of fresh produce for families who are already struggling. That is safety. That is prevention. That is what keeps communities stable. Flock cameras are one-way communication. They watch, they record, but they do not build trust. They do not strengthen relationships. They do not address the conditions that led to the harm in the first place. If anything, they risk deepening distrust, especially in communities already feeling watched rather than supported. Just weeks ago, I was in Northern Ireland studying conflict and peace building. One of the clearest lessons that we learned is this: if we do not invest in connection and community, divisions deepen and harm follows. And perhaps most importantly, civil society, relationships, and shared spaces are not optional. We need them for the health of our communities. They are the glue that holds peace together. Safety is built where people belong, not where they are simply monitored. My faith calls me to believe that every person has sacred worth, and that we are called not just to manage harm, but to build a community where it is less likely to happen at all. A community is rooted in trust, dignity, and care. Tonight you have a choice: to invest in watching people or to invest in what helps them thrive. I urge you, choose the path that builds trust, strengthens community, and makes us safer together. And I'd also like to thank you for your leadership and your service.
Thank you. One last time, Christina Taylor, and then we're going to follow that with Rudy James Liljeberg. I don't see either. Okay. That is the list.
Mayor. Didn't he speak already?
Good evening. My name is Logan Youngbacher, 1103 Evans Street. I did not register, but I want to speak and kind of wrap things up and speak. I know I've spoken to a lot of you about this issue and a lot of the community about this issue as well. And I kind of wanted to end the night reminding you of your job and what is really before you as the legislative branch for Oshkosh. Your job is to legislate. I think the executive branch has done a great job making our city safer and bringing a tool to your attention. But this is not like a new SWAT truck. This is an infrastructure of technology without the policy enacted properly to ensure its deployment is thought out, transparent, and actually is effective. For that reason, I think, as was suggested before, a commission is appropriate to make sure that we understand that this infrastructure has the guardrails in place for our community. And right now, our policies, I think, are a little weak with the data. And what we've heard time and time again is that it's not the people, it's not the OPD, it's not the people in our community that we're worried about. I think it's the capacity of AI and what that means for our community and the people here. It's taking power away from us. I think the technology is moving faster than the policy. We need to be more thoughtful about how we can deploy this technology. I see a future where an infrastructure like this exists, but not without the proper guardrails and the policies in place to protect both our officers and our community and our people. And you hear it, we're a community first policing. I appreciate that. There's a large portion of the community here tonight saying that we need to slow down a little bit and make sure we're doing the right steps. So that's where I'm at. I appreciate what you guys are doing. Appreciate your leadership. I think the policy needs to be put in place first before we deploy the technology. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that has an interest in speaking on this topic who hasn't previously spoke? I want to make sure you have that opportunity before we put this on the table for us to have our discussion. If you can give your name and address in 5 minutes.
Kevin Pro, 1607 Spruce Street. It's been about 9 years. I moved here from Chicago. I spent 27 years there. One thing about Chicago is there's cameras everywhere. I grew up in a cop family on top of that. We were all anti-camera. It's because we're pro-liberty. And I think that counts. I moved out of Chicago. I want to live in a place that recognizes liberty. And I'm not looking for a reason to move out. So, thank you.
Thank you. Please, if there's anybody else who has an interest, if you could just stand in line, please. Name and address. Welcome.
My name is Ria Rivera, 640 Zarling Ave. I'd like to talk about these startup tech companies a little bit, Palantir in particular, and the names that they choose. I want to talk about what flock really means. I think it's pretty obvious that they see us as the flock of sheep where we have no control where we go, who watches us, and what we do, or a flock of geese where we do have control, we are wild, but there is someone watching, there is someone hunting, and I would like people to almost see that for what it really is. These tech companies are very transparent. They're not like, they're very blatant in who they are and what they're trying to do. And I think that I am extremely proud of this community and the people in this community for seeing through this essentially PR stunt. And I'm very proud to live here. I'm very proud of my people tonight. It's my first meeting, so I'm very happy to feel this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Council, I'll take a motion and a second to put 26-164 on the floor.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Amos. Discussion. Deputy Mayor, go right ahead.
I went first last time, and I'll try to make it through this one. So I cut this down from about 7 pages down to 1.5. If anybody else wants to hear the other things I have to say, just like I have throughout all of this, I'll meet with anybody that wants to. Wanted to start with sincerely thanking everyone who's taken the time to reach out, whether through meetings, emails, Facebook messages, text, handwritten notes, or stopping me at the grocery store to share your thoughts on this topic, especially those who showed me some great new coffee shops. I do appreciate the vast majority of you who reached out did so in good faith, bringing thoughtful, credible, and well-researched perspectives. As a council member, I only get to have 1/7 of an employee. And although Chief Smith, I will say, has been extremely open and responsive to, I know, not just my questions, but other councilors as well, I only really get to hold the city manager Grill accountable. And so I want to ask you a couple questions to start out with. First of all, City Manager, are you familiar enough with this technology, its uses, the concerns surrounding it, and this contract to be able to make a strong recommendation to the council?
Yes, I've been familiar with this in my past two organizations that I've worked with also.
Okay. And I know in your job you have the ability to delegate contract negotiations to chiefs of or to department heads. But have you read this contract yourself?
I have. Normally I wouldn't, but because of this concerns, I have read it myself.
Okay. Are you confident that it adheres to your budget, strategic plan, and goals set by the council?
Yes.
Are you confident in the police chief's ability to prepare proper training, that proper training exists, that necessary usage and disciplinary policies are in place?
Yes, the department is not only certified by CALEA, but they're also certified by Wisconsin Law Enforcement Accreditation Group. So CALEA, the federal or the United States-wide accreditation group, they do even have flock standards, so.
Thank you. Obviously, it's your job to look out for the entire city of Oshkosh and its residents. In your professional opinion, does the usage of flock cameras make our community more or less safe?
They make them more safe for the simple fact that we're able to find people quicker, reduced response times, especially when minutes matter. In occasions where there's a missing child or a missing elderly person, they help. I know you're asking for my professional opinion, but earlier in my life I went through a lot of things where I had a restraining order against someone, and at that time he was trying to find out where I was, and we didn't have any proof of stalking. These cameras would have helped during that time. So I understand there's another aspect of it, but there is this too. I just wanted to share that personal feeling that I have.
Thank you. One of the specific areas of concern listed is the liability in section 4.1 of the contract regarding data and licensing. I know you've already said you've read that, but have you reviewed that with legal, and are you comfortable with the language?
I haven't specifically sat down with legal. I did have the chief reach out to our insurance company to verify that this would be covered under our security insurance and if they had any concerns.
Okay.
And they said that it would be covered and they did not have any concerns.
Thank you. Obviously, as a council member, I also have another major duty, and that is to the people that contact me and the constituents. Well, yes, it's not my job to do contract negotiations. I've also spent more of my time than I have on any other topic so far on council regarding this. Even went to go see my own flock report with OPD, where they pulled up my license plate. I gave them a significant period of time where I knew I was very active, including a trip to Chicago. What came back and what showed was literally 7 pictures of the back of my truck. No, you cannot tell who is driving. You cannot tell if I have a child, my kid in the car. You cannot tell where I'm going. You cannot tell where I've been. These cameras are located literally on the bridges across the rivers, on and off the interstate, and on the main roads in and out of the city. They're not in neighborhoods, and they're not surveilling us. To be clear, when I vote tonight, yes, to renew this contract, it's not because I dismiss the concerns that have been raised. It is because it is literally my job to weigh the concerns, provided with ensuring that this community is well equipped to maximize community safety. And I'll just share this as well. Yes, I've heard all of you. And yes, I've been contacted both publicly and privately by many people who have reached out to persuade us to vote one way or the other. However, I do not simply put jelly beans on a scale to decide how many of each side contacted me to make my vote. I feel lucky that I know and feel great affinity towards many of you in this room, and I would have a much more enjoyable evening if I was to vote no. That's just a fact. However, I cannot do that because I am convinced that Oshkosh is safer today for all residents because we have this technology, and Oshkosh would not be safer tomorrow by removing it.
Don't everybody jump at the chance. Councilmember Esslinger.
Mayor, it's my understanding, before I get into my analysis here, but it's my understanding the chief had, or there was someone from Flock that was going to address some concerns, is this following people, the faces and the access, and I mean, many, many things. Chief, is that individual amongst us, or?
Yeah, actually online, we have Chris Castaldo, who is Flock's Chief Information Security Officer. Chris Castaldo is the best-selling author of Startup Secure, Baking Cybersecurity into Your Company from Founding to Exit. He's an expert in building cybersecurity in startups and global enterprises, and is a transformational cybersecurity executive who creates innovative solutions to enable businesses to scale securely. He mentors and coaches founders, venture capitalists, and board members on scaling cybersecurity within their business. He has built cybersecurity organizations for numerous companies. Chris also served at the National Security Agency, or the NSA, in tailored access operations, solving some of the most challenging national cybersecurity issues. Chris is also a U.S. Army Operation Iraqi Freedom veteran, where he served in human intelligence direct support to the 101st Airborne Division, 5th Special Forces Group, 1st Infantry Division, 25th Infantry Division, and 2nd Infantry Division. Chris holds a BS in cybersecurity from American Military University and numerous cybersecurity certifications. Chris also serves on the board of directors for Rally for Vets, a charity that pays direct housing and medical bills for veterans in need. Chris is also a fellow of the National Security Institute at George Mason University's Antonin Scalia Law School, dedicated to finding practical answers to national security law and policy questions. He is also a founding member of Security Tinkerers, a group of security executives across the country dedicated to supporting the entire cybersecurity community and each other. He's online for us. He's spending time with us this evening, available to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Chief. If council has any specific questions, we can definitely direct them towards.
Yeah, I guess there are a few questions that I'd like to answer. Well, I don't know, maybe just some analysis that I've kind of gathered from the individuals that I've met with. So there was a editorial written last Sunday in the Northwestern, a very extensive, exhaustive analysis, and it was stated I'm not an expert in this field, so there were a lot of things that were way, way over my head. And so I would like to know if the individual that you're talking about here has had a chance to review that and comment if he has. And then the other concerns that I have, and I share the concerns that the folks have come up and talked about, is this following people? Are we reviewing faces? Who can access this? If someone can comment on the issues that other communities have had, can you allay our fears that this will not happen? I mean, anything can happen. We wouldn't do anything if we were afraid that something nefarious could happen. Nothing would ever happen. Nothing would ever go on. So I don't want to go out on the fringe with this, but are there areas where this could happen? This is an issue. So I'm not sure that's a question, but I just would like someone that has a lot more knowledge in this to be able to analyze the fears of the issues that were brought up.
Yeah, absolutely happy to talk through that. And just let me know if you can't hear me or anything.
I can barely hear him.
Can you hear me?
I can hear it barely. There we go. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Can you hear me now? Is that better?
Yes.
Awesome. So I'll try to talk through all those points. Maybe start with the article that I think you're referencing. There was a lot of information in there regarding Palantir. We have no relationship with Palantir. Our system is completely different. There's no integration available with Palantir as well, so your police department would not be able to integrate with their system. That simply does not exist. To your other points about facial recognition, I think there were a couple comments on that earlier. That is not a capability in this platform whatsoever. None of our cameras have that technology. Our cloud infrastructure does not have that technology, and it does not track you where you're going.
Okay. Another thing, sir, there's a question for you and the chief. The issue has been brought up that there may be other vendors that have a similar product service, if you will, with this, and maybe doing it better, whatever that means. Have a little more control over the situation. Sir, you're an expert in this field. Are there other vendors that the city of Oshkosh could look at? Would you tell me as a council member and the rest of the council, is that something we should do? Are there concerns that we're going down a road here that we should not be going down? Pardon me.
So there are many vendors in this space, in the LPR space, certainly. I can't comment on their capabilities or their cybersecurity. Obviously, I'm not an expert in their systems, but there certainly are competitors in this space, absolutely.
Okay, well, I mean, without being a cheerleader or a salesperson for any company, because I have to make a decision here, do you think that there are other companies that the city should be looking at or the chief should take into consideration?
I don't think so, because Flock is the largest in the state. But again, you're a customer. You're obviously entitled to look at other products. I'm certainly not a salesperson. I'm a cybersecurity expert. That is certainly my realm. Maybe our sales folks would have different opinions. But yeah, certainly other people in this space. But Flock is definitely the largest in this space.
Okay, Mayor, that's all I have for right now. If someone else wants to have any other questions.
I'm just going to, just briefly, for those in the audience, you're not as quiet as you think when you're whispering, so if you need to have a conversation, I just ask if you could step outside. When you're done, please come back in. But we gave you the respect that you deserved when you spoke to us, and nobody interrupted you. It's our time to listen to the dialogue up here and ask questions so we can make an informed decision tonight on this. So I just asked that. But if you need to have a conversation, please step outside in the hallway and then come on back in when you're done. Next council member who wants to speak on this? Mr. Amos.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you to everyone that came out to speak tonight on Flock Cameras. I truly appreciate you guys for coming out And as I prepared to talk about this agenda item tonight, I did a lot of research and reviewing Chapter 64 of the Wisconsin statutes to just understand my role in this whole process. And as I reviewed Chapter 64, what resonated with me the most was that this council is a legislative body, right? So I don't want to get into the weeds of how the cameras will be used, who will have access to them, or even comment on Flock as a company as a whole. I really want to focus on the policy and the legislative part of it. So if you guys have those concerns about Flock camera, I definitely think the chief would be a great person to talk to. I think that aligns more with his role. But when I reviewed the policy, I looked for three things. I looked for accountability, transparency, and oversight. And after reviewing a policy, I strongly feel as though that we do not have a sound policy in place surrounding Flock cameras as of right now. And I'll tell you why. So when it comes to accountability, the policy that we currently have in place right now says if an officer, and I'm paraphrasing, if an officer was to abuse this technology, that they may be subject to disciplinary actions. And I understand that the chief would have to file charges against that officer if they abuse the technology, and he would file those charges with the Police and Fire Commission, and they would ultimately be the ones that make the decision on how that officer will be disciplined or reprimanded. So for me, that is not strong language to ensure that officer would for sure be disciplined or reprimanded if they were to abuse this technology. In addition to that, when it comes to transparency, the policy stated that there's one report that's done a year, and that report is done by the captain of the Operations Bureau. And if you ask me personally, I just don't think that that is a substantial amount of transparency, especially when the community is asking for transparency from the police department. If the transparency is within the police department, I don't think that's a substantial amount of transparency. In addition to that, oversight. When I looked at the policy for oversight, it looks as though the only person that oversees Flock cameras right now in the police department is, again, the captain of the Operations Bureau. And for me, if he's the one that's overseeing everything, he prepares the report, he sends the report over to the chief, and the chief is the only one that reviews that report. I don't think that that is a good oversight measure to have in place. I don't think that is great transparency, and I don't see any accountability. So as of right now, I can strongly say that I do not believe we have a strong policy in place right now surrounding Flock cameras. So my decision tonight is not about whether or not it makes the city safer or not, or whether I trust the police or not. It's solely around the policy that we currently have in place. And so if I'm going to support this, I need a strong policy in place. And I would encourage the rest of the council, if you're going to support this, I would encourage you to ensure that there's a strong policy in place before you do so. And when we think about risk and benefits, we are taking on a lot of risk for having these cameras here in our city. And I don't know if the benefit outweighs the risk when you don't have a sound policy in place. And so for that reason, I won't be able to support renewing this contract tonight.
Councilmember Spanbauer, followed by Councilmember Stevenson.
Can I start with a couple questions for the gentleman online, if he's still on there?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay, great. Can you tell us, or are you able to say with 100% certainty that no federal agency can access our data, whether that's sort of on our end or on the Flock, I guess, AMS server end, without our knowledge or without our consent? So can they access our data without us knowing?
They cannot, no.
Okay. Are you able to speak a little bit more to the some detail to that?
Yeah, so within the system, your chief, your police department has the ability, the full ability to control who they share with. and that is at all times. You own the data. Flock does not own the data. You can turn those settings off at any time if you choose to stop sharing with an agency. That is fully within your police department's control.
Thank you. Multi-factor authentication, is this required on the back end? So like at the, I guess, kind of server level end, is it required there?
Yes. So we offer MFA for our customers, and we offer many different types. Some agencies do have physical tokens like a Google Titan or a YubiKey. Some agencies have phone-based, an app on your phone. Some use email. We cater to everyone's constraints. On the Flock side, we have mandatory MFA everywhere. So to log in, just to start your day, you have to have MFA to log in.
Thank you. Maybe just quickly over to the chief. Is MFA required of the officers or anyone who's kind of accessing the system on our end? Like, what does that look like in terms of multi-factor authentication?
You can't access the system without using MFA. You can log your password in, and it's still going to prompt you to use MFA.
Okay, thank you. Maybe quickly back to the individual online. I heard you say that the system does not track people. Does the multiple images of vehicles? Is he still there?
I'm still here. Yes,
sorry.
sorry.
Sorry,
I don't know if you can see me, but I'm here.
No worries. Does the multiple images of a vehicle create a pattern or heat map of an individual vehicle's movements?
No, it does not. And I'm not a product expert. There are a couple folks in the room there. Krista McLeod might be able to talk more on that. But no, it does not create a pattern of life. I'm sorry, there was a little noise. I don't know if that came through it.
There was a little noise. Yes.
Okay.
So I think we're talking about, do the images create a pattern of life? And the difference with, I think, which has been brought up, military intelligence and that pattern of life, that is across many different platforms. It is tracking behavior. It is much more in depth. The LPR system is very different. These are fixed cameras throughout your community. They're pointed at public roadways. This is taking a point-in-time capture focused on the rear of a vehicle. There is also a short data retention period. By default, Flock has set the standard of a 30-day data retention. Unless an image is downloaded by Oshkosh PD as evidence in a criminal investigation, all of those other images that are captured are deleted at their 30-day mark.
But just to be clear, does the system create a heat map of a vehicle's movement using the multiple aggregated images for a specific searched vehicle?
No, that is not available.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Stevenson? Mr. Spanbauer?
Not right now, thank you, no.
Okay. Councilmember Stevenson, followed by Councilmember LaFever.
Thank you, Brad. You got a lot of my questions out of the way. I guess just high level. So it can convince me, and I'm speaking to the individual online, convince me right now why our data is secured. What do you guys, there's been claims that say, like, if I'm a hacker in my basement and I want to get into your system, how are you going about preventing that? How are you going about preventing anybody from getting this data negligently?
Yeah, there's a ton of claims online, lots of misinformation. I think one great example is recently the Miami-Dade Cybercrimes Bureau did a independent security audit of flock cameras and found no issues. So that's one. When I joined just a few months ago, I brought in a world-renowned cybersecurity firm, Bishop Fox, to do a full penetration test of all of our products and our cloud environment. That assessment has just recently completed with very excellent results. That report will be available to your police department and council members if you want to read it later this summer once it's finalized. I'm happy to talk through that with you at that time as well and answer any questions about that. Our cybersecurity team is growing. So when I joined, we were about 20. We're at 23 people right now. We will probably end the year around 30 team members on our cybersecurity team. And that ranges from all different disciplines, from Android security experts, hardware security experts, offensive security teams. So we have basically hackers in-house hacking ourselves, looking for vulnerabilities. So those would be the things I would be looking for.
Okay. And as far as, so Chief, I talked a little bit about this with you. I do think it's maybe a valid concern as far as like mission creep goes. As far as like expanding our system, expanding the capabilities of our system, do we have certain things in place that either the council or public would know if any expansion of that nature would occur?
Yeah, in conversation with Flock, they've in the contract, they will put language within the contract that any expansion of the Flock system would come back to council for their approval. And additionally, if we're going to be expending any more funds associated with this outside of the current contract, I would be coming to you at the next budget session to say, this is what we want to do. And you would have an opportunity once again to say yes or no.
So we are more than happy to entertain any language that council would like to propose to the contract. We would have to, we are not the legal team, we would have to have our legal team sign off on that, and especially making sure that we could comply operationally with the requests of council. But we are certainly open to conversations. I will share that other cities have enabled surveillance ordinances that address that specifically and outline, for example, facial recognition would be prohibited. That may be something council may be open to considering. And then additionally, in the Flock system, any enhancements, those are optional, and your Flock administrators can toggle these additional enhancements on should we come out with a feature. A good example of an enhancement that kind of was implemented for all of our customers is our night vision technology. So prior, we saw and feedback from our customers that images at night of license plates were not the greatest. So we made a change to the system, we made an update, and now the night vision, you can see the license plates much clearer. That is something that is enabled widely. Things that go beyond that and this concern of mission creep, again, that would be optional for your agency to toggle on or off, and software enhancements and additional products, those often come with additional cost. So I just wanted to point those few things out as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Lefebvre?
I'm sorry, not done yet. Sorry.
No, you're okay.
No, thank you everybody for answering my questions. I guess I wanted to address the audience a little bit as well on my thinking around this contract. Other council members thanked everybody for showing up here. This is democracy in action. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the event everybody put together. I apologize, I was sick then. I have since followed up with many of you, both in person or phone calls, emails. I do want to make sure that everybody knows that every member of this council, including myself, is struggling with this decision, right? And we are going over and above to try to do our due diligence. So please know that I believe everybody up here is acting in good faith, regardless if they agree with you or not. I do know that, at least myself personally and some other council members that I've talked to, they do talk with experts on the subject. They do talk with other community members. And I also want to point out that this, I know and respect a lot of you in here. And I think we've had some difficult votes up here where maybe that hasn't been the case. Maybe I have had some housing developments in here that I was perfectly okay going against an audience full of folks that didn't want me to have a housing development. But there is another side of this issue. There is other people talking about this, and I know that you guys maybe don't hear it as loudly, but we do. I'm going to say my family comes from a public safety background, so maybe they have a bias, but I talk to members of my family. There's not a member in my family that is on your guys' side. They support Flock. They support giving the police the tools to do their jobs. And that's not to say that I weigh, they're my family, they're not going to like to hear that. I don't weigh them as much as I weigh you, right? I think everybody's opinions matter, but I just want you guys to understand there is a whole other segment of this community that is telling us a different story. So when a council member gets up here, when we're making decisions, we do have to try to look at the totality, not just the people who show up in this room, even though I am very ecstatic that you guys are all here. So again, struggling for reason number one, this is a split decision, I think, in the community. Maybe it's not a 50-50, but it is a split decision. We have to make sure we hear everybody. Reason number two, I do believe a lot of you brought up legitimate concerns. I talked about mission creep. I do think mission creep is a legitimate concern. Maybe my threshold for someone seeing where I drive or something is less than you guys, but I have to take into consideration your guys' thoughts as well. I don't like, we've talked a little bit about personal liberties. I weigh that a bit. And as far as data goes, I'm hopeful that it's secure. We've had a lot of people talk about it being very secure, but I do think the community has brought up other legitimate issues in that case as well. I'd like to get a little bit more maybe personal on some other end of things that I'm struggling with right now. So my wife is a social worker. She works with Oshkosh PD. She works with PD around the county. She works with at-risk teens, and one of the things that I heard a lot today was how it affects me. And I know you're all thinking about a larger community as well, but I didn't hear a lot about victims. I heard a lot about the bad guy. I heard a lot about the criminal. My wife directly deals with criminals. Social workers are with victims, directly deal with victims, directly deal with people that are struggling in life, that have drug abuse, that have mental health disorders. And it's very frequently when an at-risk teen goes missing, when they run away potentially, when they're in a car with someone they're maybe not supposed to be with. Moments matter. I think our city manager said that minutes matter. The time period from when a person makes a decision that completely alters their life and when they don't is minutes. And I'm not going to sit up here and say that this severely reduces crime. I think a lot of you have pointed out that I don't think that's the case. I don't think there's data to support that says this reduces crime, but I do think it's a force multiplier, and I do think that when moments matter, it's there. So again, in the example of some of the teens and children, when we're looking for those folks, moments matter. If someone makes a bad decision and ruins their entire life, you can't take that back. When we're looking at someone with a mental health disorder, with someone that could be a danger to themselves or a danger to the community, moments matter with them. This actually just recently happened a few weeks ago where someone was, a wellness check was called on an individual that did not show up to the door. This individual had a history of mental health disorders, had a history of potentially acting in a violent manner. That person was found, right? And that in that instance, moments matter. In that instance, that individual needed to be found quickly and needed to be ensured that they were in a safe place. So I am having to weigh right now, I want you to understand legitimate safety protocols, legitimate things that are helping victims and vulnerable populations in our communities. So I have to weigh the loss of that. I understand that a lot of you have brought up issues that I can't disagree with in some scenarios, but I don't know if I can take a tool away right now that I know is doing good things just because there might be this perception that it's bad. And I don't want to minimize perception either. I know that is also one of the issues that I'm really struggling with right now, is that a perceived surveillance state, a perceived lack of trust in OBD is not good for this community. So know that that's what is all running through my mind right now. I do, again, want to thank everybody for speaking up here. I want you all to understand that we do deeply care and we do deeply want to make the right decision here. Thank you also for pointing out the crime is going down. I feel like I always say crime is going down and I get yelled at. So the PD is doing a good job. I think a lot of those things that we talked about, helping people with housing, helping people kind of build themselves up, we're starting to do that a lot more. So that is also a function of our crime going down. So thank you for listening to my long spiel. And thank you everybody for being here.
Mr. Lefebvre.
Thank you. Hi. Thank you for everyone who came out to speak tonight. I'll start with this. We are in a moment where many people are renegotiating their trust in institutions.
You need, if you could get a little close. Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
That way they can hear you in the back.
I'll restart. We're in a moment right now where many people are renegotiating their trust in institutions. So I want to begin by clearly saying I do trust the Oshkosh Police Department. I believe our officers are professional, and I believe they take these responsibilities seriously. But this vote is not only about our local department. Over the past few months, I've spent a great deal of time listening to residents on all sides of this issue. And for some, this is primarily about public safety, and I acknowledge that. For others, it's also about privacy, data security, taxpayer dollars, transparency, and public trust. And in reality, it's about all of those things and more. So I've read all of the materials provided, heard everything from the last council meeting and this one, attended the community forum last week, had many private conversations with citizens and staff, and what it comes down to is I understand the argument that there are safeguards in place. I understand that the city owns the data, that sharing settings can be restricted, and that there are auditing tools and policy controls in place. But even with those safeguards, this system does not exist in isolation. It's a part of a broader networked platform, and that matters to me. So for me, this decision is not only about whether I trust OPD to use the tool responsibly. Even with local policies in place, this is still a shared platform that connects to other agencies where we don't set the policies or have direct oversight over how other departments use it. So it's asking residents to not only have trust in the Oshkosh Police Department, but every other department in the state of Wisconsin, and in some cases beyond. And to me, that's a very high bar of trust. So if we are going to ask residents to accept a loss of privacy in the name of safety, then the burden is on us to show not only that the system has safeguards, which it does, but that it has also earned the trust of the public that we serve. And I do not believe that that trust is strong enough right now. This is especially true because so much of the public conversation around this issue has not just been about whether the technology can work, but whether the broader system it connects us to reflects community values. And I don't think that is a small concern. I think for me, that's the central concern. For me, taxpayer dollars should not be used to expand public surveillance unless there's a stronger foundation of public trust behind it. And I also think it's important to recognize the broader moment that we're in. We have entered a new era of technology where tools like this are becoming more commonplace every single day. And I'm confident that this will not be the last conversation we have about surveillance or emerging technologies. And I do think that there's a fair question about whether, when this system was first adopted in Oshkosh, approved by the council in 2022, that we fully understood the long-term implications. The benefits, yes, but also the risks. And in a time when technology is advancing faster than ever, I think it's important that we have a strong shared understanding of what safety really means in our community. So what I'm saying here is that I would rather see us take a step back, slow down, host a series of well-publicized community conversations, surveys, form a commission around the subject so that residents can weigh in more fully on what safety looks like to them, what trade-offs they're willing to accept, and what tools they are actually comfortable with. And then we can proceed from there. So I've heard a lot on this subject, and it is a tough one. But for me, this comes down to trust, accountability, and whether public confidence has actually been earned. And right now, I do not believe that it has. And for those reasons, I will not be supporting the contract renewal tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor.
So this is something I cut out of page 4, because there's been a lot of talk about what safety is. Jay, can you pull up the picture that I sent you? I'm sure all of you have seen that there's a article where the U.S. Marshals and OPD work together to arrest one of Wisconsin's most wanted individuals. This arrest didn't obviously happen because of flock alone. It involved coordination across multiple agencies, traditional police work, stakeouts, but flock was one of the tools that contributed in a meaningful way. I spoke with the officer who was actually geared up in the SWAT uniform to breach the house that day if necessary. When the flock hot list alerted the subject that they were out shopping, there was huge relief, because when an officer has to go into breach a home with an unknown number of occupants, risks inside a number of people and weapons in there. This is not a public photo. The chief shared it with me and he gave me permission to share it. These are 3D printed guns and a 3D printed handgun suppressor. People don't 3D print guns to go hunting or target shooting. These were in Oshkosh, and yes, our SWAT team would have gone in, and yes, our SWAT team would have got these people, but that includes much greater risk to not only the bystanders, the neighbors, the officers themselves, and the community as a whole. To me, that matters, and I don't take any points away from anybody else. I didn't know if I wanted to share this tonight or not. But I don't know, Dean, if you want to touch on any of that, but when you showed that to me, I appreciated it, but that was something that really mattered to me, that we were able to capture this person in a safe way without having to breach into using SWAT.
Well, to clarify your points, we in fact did use flock to further the investigation. We certainly used our surveillance techniques outside of flock, and everybody knows we captured this person at Walmart. That was humans doing that work, and we were using flock to further the investigation through associates associated with the murder suspect out of Milwaukee. So I wanted to clarify that for you. But speaking to the weapons itself, they are what they are. They tell their own story.
Council? I think a few of you had some other things you wanted to say. Just give them the opportunity now. Floor is yours if you want it. Mr. Esslinger.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple observations. From the folks that showed up, well, first of all, thank you all for showing up. I did attend the meeting at the library and I met with a couple other individuals that were very nice. Really liked the meeting that I had. I think I don't quite understand is there's an outcry for this tonight, a large gathering, yet I wasn't on the council when this first was approved, but to the best of my knowledge, there was nobody here. And so I don't know if these are new concerns or I'm confused as to why there was no offers of committees at that point in time and no concerns of the issues. And the issues are real. I share your frustration. I share your worries. It was kind of brought up, and I think other council members touched on this, kind of like, well, you're not an expert in this, so somehow you shouldn't vote on this, or you don't know what you're talking about. Well, I'm not a public works expert. I'm not a fire chief. I'm not a police chief. I'm not a community development director, and I'm not a finance director. But I was elected by people to serve up here to make decisions in all those areas, especially budgeting decisions. And ironically, using that logic, if you're not an expert in something, you shouldn't be up making decisions. Outside of literally handful or so people that go out and vote, we would never have voters because the voters were never council members, or they're never senators, or they're never assembly people. So that just doesn't hold any water, and it's really kind of disingenuous. One thing, I'm going to disagree with both sides. I've met with the chief, had a great conversation with him, and I think I'm going to disagree with Councilmember Stevenson here. We're talking about this downward trend in crime. Boy, I'm not seeing it. I am not seeing it. I'm hearing more and more and more regarding crime every day. In fact, it's almost a joke on Facebook now. It's like, well, what happened in Oshkosh today? And not just Oshkosh, but other places. What happened today, and who got shot, and who got raped, and who, whatever the case may be. So, I don't know, that may be another issue. The issue was brought up, well, most of the people that came here tonight and most of the people that came to the meeting at the library are against this. So that's how we should vote, is on how many people arrived at a meeting. It doesn't work that way, folks. And quite frankly, if you look at all the contact that I've had, whether it be emails, texts, talking to people on the street, whatever the case may be, we talked about the 50-50 level, and I think that's probably where we're at. So no matter how we vote here, all of us are going to upset 50% of the people. It's almost guaranteed. But that's that process. So a couple of things that I want to say in regards to this now is, I'm a very conservative person, libertarian actually in some instances, and I believe that a good government is a small government. And I do believe that government, and so someone asked, I think, do you trust government? Really? No, not really. But I trust the people here. I trust the chief. I trust the officers that drive around here in Oshkosh. And in the 13 years that I've been a council member, and every time I run, we always talk about funding items. And of course, when you're running for office, you want to fund everything. You promise the sun and the moon, and you're going to spend a lot of money. And then at budget time, you don't have the money. And so you either raise taxes, you keep things the same, or you lower taxes. My belief always was that police, fire, and Department of Public Works have to be funded first before you want to look at spending other areas. I don't want to defend anyone in any other department. That's just the way I look at it. That's the most important. And this issue is a police issue. I remember the last budget that I was on, I think the chief came forward and he said he wanted 2 or more officers. And myself and other members of this council, not this council, but the council at that time, said no. So now we have another issue here with the cameras. The chief has given us his, in my opinion, his professional opinion that this is a good thing. He's given instances where it has worked. I believe him. And so I want to go back to me not being an expert. If I were the chief, quite frankly, if I keep going to councils and I can't get officers, and you don't want to give me the authority to use cameras to catch the bad guys, I'm fully expecting the chief one of these days to throw the keys at the council and say, you know what, you guys, if you're so much smarter than me and you know how to do it, turn the lights off when you leave. Here are the keys. And I have a hard time at council, at budget time, especially tonight, when when a professional is telling us this is something that we need. I have a hard time. I can't say no, we don't need this. That's ridiculous. But and this is where I have the problem as a conservative, the two things that I cherish the most are liberty, and I believe that the government has to protect. And these two things are in a boxing match right now, and they're at blows. I asked the gentleman that was the expert. I had some fears, as I know many people do, with following faces and all that. I fear that too. And quite frankly, in the future, that may come to that. And so I'm very, very cautious, and I'm going to be voting in favor of this tonight. But Councilmember Amos talked about having a committee and somehow, I guess, lack of a better term, getting a handle on this and how we review it. I'm all for that. I think that's a fantastic idea. I'm glad you brought that up. And Mayor, I don't know how we do that, maybe in the future, have a meeting with the city manager and the chief regarding that. But there's certainly some more education that I could get regarding that. And if it will allay some fears of other folks, then we should do that. We owe that to the public to allay those fears. And so I trust this chief. I mean, when it gets down to it, if I got to fall on one side, I trust the chief. I think he's doing the job that he can. I want to give him the tools that he needs. I think this is a tool that he needs, that he's used. It has been successful, not only for him, but successful for all of us if it's successful for him. So I'm going to be voting in favor of extending the contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Spanbauer.
I have been toiling with this one for a number of weeks since leading up to the previous meeting where we voted to lay this over. I want to start with what I'm hearing, and what I'm hearing are what I believe to be legitimate concerns. I'm hearing concerns about independent audits around cybersecurity. I'm hearing concerns about more guardrails, some stronger policy. I think a couple of council members have brought that up. I'm hearing about citizens who want more of a voice or a little bit more ability to be, I guess, heard out over a little bit more time to maybe slow things down a little bit. And I think then there's some bigger issues here about surveillance creep, and some of those things, which I think are legitimate concerns for some members of our community. Yeah, have I been 50-50 on this? Have I been 51-49 on this? I think I've sort of gone back and forth a little bit. I've heard from the community. I've talked with the staff. I've seen how Flock gets used. I went and met with the staff to see that. And so I guess what I am hearing, and again, I don't know by what means this needs to happen, but a recommendation or a suggestion that I would like to make is some additional level of review, some additional level. It sounds like at least 4 of us I've heard publicly state up here tonight, some kind of commission, some kind of body that exists, that can exist, and Councilmember Esslinger, to your point, to the point about the 2022, I can just kind of surmise here, this is new, right? At the time that this technology was new, it is still new. And as we are all very aware, it is rapidly evolving. We heard them say tonight, they're improving the ability to capture the vehicle images in the dark, right, versus during the day. I also want to be very, very clear here. I want to be a yes on this because I think when it helps, it helps. Right? I think it does help our police, who many people have said at this meeting and at the last meeting, we trust the police. Like, we do not have the concerns about the police, right? But we have the concerns of where are the data actually going? And the fact that this system exists allows these data to be out there. Right? The internet exists. There is the ability for this information to be accessed by someone who is a lot smarter than I am at hacking or cybersecurity, right? Or whatever that may be. So where I'm at on this right now, honestly, is I don't know.
You vote first.
And I know I vote first. So where I'm at on this right now is I don't know. Because, and I'm just trying to be very, very transparent with all the people who came and spoke at this meeting, at the independently organized meeting at the library, and here tonight. I hear your concerns. I share a lot of your concerns. So I guess my feedback, my punt back to folks is, I think this needs some additional scrutiny. I think this needs some, and I don't want to get into the specifics of where in the contract I think things need to be changed or whatever. But our community is here speaking to us. And I have to acknowledge that over 11,500 of you voted for me. That's like a sixth of Oshkosh. Mm-hmm. And so, if people are voting for me and aligning with what I believe to be true, am I speaking for them? Like, if they voted me here, then why am I here if I'm going to ignore their concerns? And I think these are legitimate concerns. I don't think that these are people who have stormed up here angry. People have been very thoughtful, mindful, calm in their remarks to us. And so I guess what I'm asking is, I think we need to find some middle ground.
Probably leaves me. I had a whole thing prepared. We've thrown that out the window. We're just going to go off the cuff here. So as mayor, member of this council, I was one of the original ones who voted yes to this 4 years ago. This decision for me today isn't that difficult. I'm going to start with that. I'm going to be honest, because I gave it its full weight and its full the respectful process 4 years ago when I said yes to it the first time. And I did it again 2 years ago when I said yes to it a second time. I had a conversation with the chief 4 years ago when this idea was brought to us to bring this technology into the city of Oshkosh. I went to the chief with many of the concerns we've heard here tonight and via email, via phone from the previous meeting. I went to him with nearly the same concerns. Is this something that I want as a leader in this community? Is this something I want for the community? Help me understand it. Help me understand how we're going to use this to make sure this is a safer community. How are we going to use this to make sure that victims' rights are held high? How are we going to use this to make sure that civil liberties aren't infringed upon? Can we do all those things? And the answer was yes, we can do those things. We've been doing them for 3.5 years here in the city of Oshkosh. So one of our core principles, one of our highest responsibilities, is ensuring the health, welfare, and safety of every resident, visitor, and property owner in this community. It's at the heart of our strategic plan. That is our guiding document. That's our Bible for how we operate here in the city of Oshkosh. We don't do things unless they align with the strategic plan. Otherwise, this is scattershot, and we don't go anywhere. We're just a rudderless ship. So if it aligns with the strategic plan, that's the first step. And this does, and it has, and it will continue to do so. I hear the concerns, the national and even the local conversations regarding this technology, and those conversations in the media and how it happens to highlight the concerns for potential misuse. That is a fair concern. I want to make sure that it's clear that I am hearing you. There's a difference between hearing and listening, though, and doing exactly what you want and using fact and fear to decide decisions. The importance of taking those concerns seriously, and we should use those to adopt robust and accountable practices. We do that in the city of Oshkosh. Many tonight have tried to say, this isn't about Oshkosh, this is a bigger conversation. That's fine, it can be. I'm only paid by the 67,000 people who call Oshkosh home. It's not that I don't care about the national conversation, but I have nothing to do with the national conversation. I care about what happens right here in my home, in my backyard, and to my neighbors here in the city of Oshkosh. I'm committed, this whole body, I haven't heard a single person who says they aren't committed, to ensuring clear policies, strong oversight. We used a lot of the transparency word this evening, but transparent safeguards to ensure this type of data and all data that's captured is used for legitimate public safety purposes and never to infringe upon people's civil liberties. Adopting technology, advanced technologies, requires proper governance. We're doing that here. We're a leader in that, and we're doing that here, and we've been doing it for the last 3.5 years. I'm convinced that we have the right policies in place to ensure that through the use of this investigative tool, that we can use it appropriately. And again, the reason I'm that confident is because we have been doing it for 3.5 years. This has been a very lengthy trial, if you want to look at it that way, if you're willing to look at it that way. But you have to be willing to. We've been doing it right for 3.5 years. I understand there are bad actors anywhere. In this state, there's been misuse of this type of technology. I acknowledge that. I'm not responsible for them, but they should be held to the highest possible consequences, and I hope they are. The technology has repeatedly demonstrated the value as a force multiplier for law enforcement. It enables officers here in the city of Oshkosh to respond rapidly to critical incidences while using resources the most effectively. We had an incident very recently, something that happened overnight. I learned about it the next morning. I happened to hop on, I'm a little geek this way, I happened to hop on the scanner app. I rolled it back several hours and I listened to the radio traffic that occurred that evening in the overnight hours as Oshkosh Police and Oshkosh Fire responded to a devastating incident for one of our residents. And as part of their quick investigative process, they identified a potential individual, they identified that individual had a potential vehicle linked to them, and they immediately called for, can we check flock? It didn't take officers leaving the scene from a very important, very critical incident. Took a phone call, took a radio transmission, checked flock. Came back, no. Checked a box. We moved on. It did not require additional resources to be spent outside of the immediate need of that scene and that incident and that individual whose life is forever altered. It's a meaningful tool. It helps us enhance our crime fighting capabilities, supports our officers, protects our residents, and gives victims of crime the satisfaction that perpetrators of crimes are found, prosecuted, and punished, while maintaining a strong commitment to privacy, transparency, and responsible data stewardship. One thing we didn't hear much tonight was about victims of crimes. They have rights too. And this is an investigative tool that helps those victims of crimes see the perpetrators of those crimes brought to justice much quicker and much safer for this community.
Oh my God, the police department hired
Please-
mine.
Please feel free to leave.
Yep, on my way out.
I agree.
Please.
We're all too stupid to understand how good this is for us.
Please feel free to
Thank you,
leave.
Mr. Mayor. I want something to say.
Nope.
No.
It's not your time. We had a lengthy public discussion. This is our time. If anybody else would like to leave, now would be a good time. Feel free. We thank you for coming and speaking to us tonight.
I'm leaving, I'm just gonna say.
No, thank you.
No.
No, thank you.
Your time, but I.
No, thank you.
Mine straight up before we take it.
It's unfortunate that you're unwilling to hear. I'll wrap. For those reasons and many, many more, I believe this system, it's a smart, it's effective, and it's community-focused investment that we can make into the city's safety and the future. So I'll continue to support the use of this technology here in Oshkosh for the betterment of this community. Mr. Spanbar, go right ahead.
I would like to revisit the suggestion about some level of a commission or a review board or something that I think is a completely appropriate recommendation that has been put forward by individuals.
Before, I'm just going to use a little privilege first, but then I'll call him Mr.
Yep,
Esslinger.
absolutely.
I don't disagree. I think it's worthy of further discussion, 100%.
Will you?
From a procedural standpoint, process standpoint person, us committing policy or creating policy on the fly, it never works well up here in my time.
And my question was going to be if you could indulge me a little bit, as I am also still new, but I'm trying to understand and maybe help our residents who are here and concerned. By what process might that occur?
Mayor, if I could.
Mr. Esslinger, go right ahead.
Okay,
I can
thank you.
always revisit. Yeah.
And I'm with Councilmember Spanbar. I agree with you. I think this should happen. I also agree with the mayor, us trying to do something on the fly.
You want to say that again? I like hearing that.
Yeah, us doing something on the fly is a disaster, but you're right. And so what I'm suggesting here is we listened to a lot of folks that had a lot of great ideas, that had a lot of concerns. If we're listening to them, let's listen to them again. I think the message that we're sending is there are some tweaks, there are some things that we need to do. How would you like us to handle it? They've given us suggestions on whether we're right or wrong on this. I would trust that one or more of them could come forward and say, hey, if you're going to have a commission, a committee, I would like to be on it. Here are my suggestions. But that's not something we can do tonight. I mean, that just clearly is not something we're going to do tonight.
100% agree.
Ms. Grill?
Yes.
If I'm hearing council correctly, and I'm pretty sure I am, we'd like to know more. We'd like to have a furthering discussion on this topic. What would be the most appropriate method for us to ensure that that happens while still continuing to vote on a contract that is still in front of us this evening?
I think the most appropriate way to move forward would be having, in the next council meeting, we could have it under direction to city manager. Between now and then, I can meet with the police chief and talk about some ideas that we might have, and we can share them. And I'm sure people will be sharing their ideas with you that you could share with me too. Then we can bring it back and you can discuss it then.
Okay. Would that be, at this moment, sufficient enough for the concern?
I
Just want to make sure that.
hope that would address some of the concerns that I think have been reasonably brought forward.
Okay. Council, any further discussion? Any further questions? I see none.
I do have a question. Sorry. if we're approving the contract tonight, you can't change the contract after the fact, right? But if this committee came together, said you should have made these changes to the contract, it's going to happen.
So this is a 2-year contract that you're approving tonight with the terms that are in front of you. So to your point, the committee would be looking at future items. It's always possible to amend a contract, but we would be looking to lock in tonight on the contract in front of you.
Perhaps there could be just a 1-year contract. I don't know if we're getting special pricing.
Probably speaking out of turn for Flock, but they would probably be amenable to a 1-year contract, which would give us the opportunity to have those discussions that you want, because it's not going to be a short discussion. It's going to take time. And I'm getting head nods that they would be amenable to a 1-year contract. We will not address concerns in a month or 2 months. It's going to take a lot of work to get there.
If that's the case, then if everybody else is, I would provide an amendment to make it a 1-year contract, and in that time, I'll provide an amendment to make it a 1-year contract. I don't know if I want to, I don't think we can appropriately put in a motion right now, the committee, right? Is that, or can I say direction to staff to look into this over the year? Is that
I think we've given
appropriate?
direction, she's heard it.
got it.
Sure. It's going to be on the next agenda, and we'll be holding the city manager accountable for that action.
Sure.
So I have a motion to, is that what I heard? A motion
Yeah,
to
motion
amend
to make
to
it
a
a 1-year
1-year contract in front of us. I would need a second to further to
I'll
discuss.
second that. I think it sounds reasonable.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion to amend from a 2-year down to a 1-year?
Can you not hear?
Current,
I'm a mumbler, I'm sorry.
no, I think she's talking to me, and I was making sure other people spoke in their mic, and apparently I wasn't. So right now, we have on the floor a motion to amend to a 1-year contract down from a 2-year. Any discussion on the motion to amend?
No.
They're right here.
Nope. But it's our time to handle this part. Sorry, but unfortunately, the way our process works, the public side is over. Council, I see nobody pressing buttons. City Clerk, if you'll take the roll on the motion to amend from a 2-year down to a 1-year contract.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Bealow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
LaFever.
No.
Esslinger.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye.
6-1. Carried.
We have the motion as amended currently on the floor. Any further discussions on it? City Clerk, please take the roll on 26164 as amended.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
No.
Bealow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
LaFever.
No.
Esslinger.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye.
5-2.
5-2.
Carried.
We have a few more items of business, but it has been already 3.5 hours. We're going to take a brief recess. We're going to allow the audience to clear as well as to take a brief break. We'll be back in no more than 10 minutes.
The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government.
We have just a few action items left in front of us, and then we have a little bit of discussion items. A couple new resolutions. First one is Resolution 26-189. This is a resolution to request state review and modernization of the Wisconsin's Uniform Dwelling Code. I believe Councilmember Stevenson would actually like to make a motion to withdraw this.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to withdraw, and I'll give an explanation. So this resolution is asking the state to form a committee surrounding the Uniform Dwelling Code that governs Wisconsin's residential developments. It's, in my opinion, an atrocious code. It gets in the way of a lot of our building speed, creativity, things of that nature. I did not realize until staff kind of looked into it. It sounds like the administration on the kind of staff end of the state is looking at forming this committee and updating that code. I would like to remove this today just so I can probably bring it back and say we support that move instead of what it's asking for right now.
Okay, so we got a motion to withdraw, and then Councilmember Stevenson will bring it back along with staff when they're ready. Any more discussion? I see none. If you'll take the roll on the motion to withdraw 26-189.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Bealow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
LaFever.
Aye.
Esslinger.
Aye.
Mugwar.
Aye.
Carried 7-0.
Resolution 26-190, this is a resolution to appoint myself, Mayor Mugrower, as the City of Oshkosh representative to the East Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission Board, and to designate City Manager Grill as the permanent alternate. I'll take a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Stevenson.
I will be abstaining from items 39 and 40. East Central is my place of employment.
Okay. Take the roll on 26-190, please.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Bealow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Present.
LaFever.
Aye.
Esslinger.
Aye.
Mugwar.
Aye. Resolution 26-191.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Can we ask the individuals in the hallway to please take their conversation elsewhere?
I hate to ask you, would you mind just closing that door? It already is closed? No, I can handle it. Deputy Mayor, you handle this.
All right. Resolution 26-191, resolution to appoint City Manager Grill, Mayor Mugrower, Councilor Bulow, and Director Collins to East Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission, Oshkosh's Metropolitan Planning Organizational Policy Board. Need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I'm going to wait for him to. We have a motion and a second. Any debate?
We have a question in the audience.
What's it?
We have a question in the audience. It's a great place.
Councilmember Stevenson? I know we don't normally do that.
Can we answer this later?
We can. I'll talk with you later.
Okay. Please take the roll.
You started it, you finish it.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Bealow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Present.
LaFever.
Aye.
Esslinger.
Aye.
Mugwar.
Aye.
Carried 6.
We have one last resolution, Resolution 26-192, approve Class B beer fermented malt beverage license application for Witzel Avenue Pub, 1801 Witzel Avenue. The agent and the applicant has requested that we withdraw this item as well tonight, and then they will choose to bring it back at a future time. So I need I'll motion to withdraw it. I need a second. Any discussion on the motion to withdraw? This was initiated by I motioned it. This was initiated by the applicant and, excuse me, I moved it. And we're just respecting their request. If you'll take the roll on to withdraw 26-192.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Bealow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
LaFever.
Aye.
Esslinger. Mugwar.
Aye.
Carried 7-0.
All right, council discussion, direction of city manager, future agenda items. I have nothing listed under discussion and direction of city manager. I think we gave some direction tonight, and we'll be having those discussions in the very near future. Future agenda items, we've got a few. You can see we're doing things a little differently than sometimes in the past in terms of how we're onboarding new council members, as well as some calendar type things, trying to provide one, a heads up on some topics, and two, to give staff, one, there's some staff deadlines, but also two, council can know when some things are coming towards us. So, Mr. Amos.
I'm sorry, I wanted to just comment under council discussion really quick.
Okay.
Still able to do so?
Yeah.
I've said it on Facebook, and we don't have a lot of people here, but I just want to thank the city of Oshkosh, all the residents of the city of Oshkosh that came out and voted for me. I wholeheartedly appreciate your votes. It means a lot to me. I look forward to working with you all over the next 2 years, and I look forward to working with this council over the next 2 years. So just wanted to say that.
Future agenda items, council orientation introduction, tomorrow, 4:30, Wednesday, April the 22nd, we're going to have one of a couple different orientations starting at 4:30, and then we also have a special meeting of the Common Council tomorrow night, 6 p.m. There's a couple agenda topics as well as possible closed sessions. Those have been properly noticed. We have a council orientation Tuesday, May 12th at 4:30, topic to be determined. Next regularly scheduled council meeting is May the 12th at 6 p.m. And then May the 26th at 5 p.m. we'll be having a, looks like, council workshop regarding the city snow plowing policy as well as sanitation division updates. Councilmember announcements and statements. Mr. Esslinger has a brief announcement, I think.
Thank you, Mayor. I was informed today that this week is National Volunteers Week. And I can say in the city of Oshkosh, with all the events that we have, of course, EAA and the fishing events and on and on and on, and we have Oshkosh Community Media. We have a producer here tonight that is volunteering. So I would personally like to say thank you to all the volunteers, and if you know someone that's a volunteer, please thank him or her for their job. That's it. Thank you.
Nicely put. Mr. Amos.
I am so sorry. I completely misread the agenda. I was meaning to say that right now, but so sorry for that, guys.
No worries. If nothing else, council, city manager, you've got a few things, I think, and we'll wrap.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any questions on what we have on the agenda. Let me know. Otherwise, you noticed that I have a different person sitting next to me, Amy Vandenhogen. She's the new city attorney. I was going to do a more formal presentation at the next council meeting. So
I thought that person looked a little different.
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
There's a lot going on tonight, so. And then there was some desire for us to have more discussion about the pub crawl and certain things that happen, and looking at if there's some possibilities of doing things differently, changing policies or ordinances. So the chief and our community partners are going to get together. We don't have anything ready today, but I just wanted to let you know that we're working on it and looking at some different options. And then the Irving Railroad, so it looks they're going to be coming next week to do the track repairs. This is a temporary repair, just so people know. A full replacement is going to be in plan for 27 or 28, according to the railroad. But just wanted to let people know that that's happening. And I know there's been a lot of concern, but the railroads need to repair it. We're not allowed to, so we tried to coordinate that as quickly as we could. Doesn't always go that quickly, though.
If you don't mind, just a little plug. I'm aware of several residents of the city of Oshkosh that reached out on that topic.
Yes.
And that's your government in action. It reached out about a concern. It wasn't within our purview to fix it, but we did our best to apply leverage and brought the concern to the right folks. And Railroad's going to take care of their business very shortly, and just wanted to say thanks to the residents for looking out for the community and raising the concern, and that's how it's supposed to work.
And likewise, I 100% want to thank you guys. You guys got, I think you kind of hounded them, which I love.
We were getting hounded, too.
Yeah, okay, good. Pesky council members. But thank you very much for the quick turnaround. I know I've talked about this to a handful of folks, and they all expressed a lot of gratitude. And it's crazy how far just a railroad repair can go with folks. So thank you.
Thank you.
The only other thing is grant updates on the ARPA funds, and any questions on that? Otherwise, I'll take a motion in a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.